What is going on, everybody, and welcome to Grand Finals Day 4 Europe here at GLL Nations Royale. My name is Parla and I am your desk host. I'm joined by the expert analysis of Toby. Welcome back.
Thank you, Ben.
Sir, good to see you. Have you recovered from last night and the insanity that we saw unfold between Team USA and Team Brazil?
There were too many memes going on. It hit me hard, yep.
Yeah,
so I'm good. I'm good today, yeah.
Just to recap, all of you at home, we saw the two semi-finals for Europe, putting us in the position we are now, which will see Team Turkey face off against Team Greece and Cyprus, two countries banding together. And last night, we saw at the very end of things, Team USA versus Team Brazil in the Americas Grand Final. And it was Team USA that came out on top. Yep. Now, let's take a look at today's schedule. Remember, this is 32 versus 32 PUBG action, something that we've not seen before this event. And so far, everything has been a best of 5. Or earlier in the tournament, was it best of 5?
It was BO3s.
Okay, BO3s, and then the semi-finals were best of 5s. But now, in the grand final, we are in a best of 7 scenario. So a lot of opportunities for both teams to come out on top. Yeah, we're starting things off now with map 1, and I really think that this format is going to prove its worth when it comes to best of 7.
Yeah, I mean, we're up against, we have two teams that are, I would say, very deserving of being here. The way that they played yesterday, the way that we've seen them play coming into this, they sure are the two teams that deserve to be fighting for the finals.
Yeah, from what I've seen so far, both of these teams have a level of structure just a bit above the competition. Now, let's take a look at the teams in more detail. Oh, for me, it was Greece and Cyprus that just had that extra edge yesterday and communication. But Team Turkey were kind of like on the same level in how they played, but it was just a different approach from them in some ways.
And that's the thing, right? Because they're playing very differently, but what both of them are doing is very, very effective and successful, but they're doing things very differently. Now it's going to be interesting to see how things will look once they go up against one another. Greece and Cyprus representing with a ton of high-caliber players, but equally so coming from Turkey. Tons of good players. We got pretty much the entirety of Fenerbahce in there. And we got a lot of other very, very talented players from the pro scene that we know and watch all of us, of course.
Indeed. If anybody tuning in now didn't catch these two teams playing yesterday, Greece and Cyprus overcame the Ukrainian squad and Turkey overcame Finland. Finland maybe didn't have the correct sort of approach to take out Turkey. They didn't seem to have much structure at all. Their communication strategy potentially wasn't on point. And in 32 versus 32, it seems that sort of playing your own meta, creating a new meta, because we haven't seen this format before, is very beneficial. And Turkey had a good structure. And for me, it was Greece and Cyprus that seemed to have the best communication strategy. They have a very specific, unique setup in Discord or TeamSpeak, and then also general guidelines that all of the players follow, and it really paid off for them.
Also, I mean, you might argue, though, that despite the fact that we have the, you said they have the system, the way it's set up, their communication.
It seems that way.
But they also require for more communication because they do a lot of small things here and there, where Turkey is more of a, I say, all of you guys do this, we all do that, you know? So it doesn't require for as in-depth communication if they're all doing the same thing.
Indeed. Toby, we have the map picks up on screen right now, and it looks like our best of 7 is going to go as follows. Erangel to start things off, as has been the case in both semi-finals so far. Then Miramar, Sandhawk, followed by Vikendi, the Winter Wonderland, and then triple Erangel at the end.
Yes, there's going to be no questions, oh, you got the better map. It's going to be like, we'll just, you know what, if we go that far, just Erangel as decider, till the very end. And look at how fresh this guy looks today.
Look, ready to pop off. Yeah, just so you know, everybody, Mythrain unfortunately couldn't attend the actual event. He is the general for Team Turkey. Yeah, just in case there are viewers that aren't returning. So the format is 32 versus 32, as mentioned, but each team has a captain, a general, who sort of is in charge of creating the whole flow of combat. And he's the boss, you know, in terms of warfare. He's the one calling the shots. And then under them, they usually have a few sort of officers in each of the 4 squads of 8. And Mythrain is the general for Team Turkey, but he couldn't make it. But we do have Shinjae here, George, the general for Team Greece and Cyprus. The grammar for that, still not entirely sure what's correct, but yeah, the Greek Cypriot team and the two countries have come together to create a force of their own.
Yeah, and he's been doing a phenomenal job, both as a player but also as a captain, because we saw pretty much both yesterday. One game, he goes and he's on the front line, pops heads off, gets a quad nade kill and everything.
Quad.
Next game, it dies as the first guy. Like pretty much, he got one kill and then he died instantly. First player on his team to go down all by himself. No retaliation, no refrag, no trade-off, anything. He goes down, but you could still see he was constantly talking. Communication was there. And there was no point at which it didn't seem like they knew what they were doing. Even when they were completely pushed up against the wall, they bit them off and they got the win.
Yeah, and Shinjae, having spoken to him yesterday and spent some time with him, he's very much the sort of, the classic in-game lead, the classic team leader. He's very humble. It's always, you know, the guys pull through. So, for instance, in that situation where he fell very early on Sandhawk, the first to die on his team, we were theorizing that when he died, he'd have a better overview of what's going on and if that would lead to better decisions. And yeah, they ended up coming out on top. And when we asked him about that in the post-match interview, he was like, you know, it could have helped, but really it was my crew. You know, we all played our part. And I think has this good balance of being a strict, firm leader with guidelines, but also is ready to just say, look, it's the boys behind me that are doing everything.
And it is. I mean, you cannot do everything by yourself. And one thing is you come up with the idea maybe and you tell them what to do here and there. But in the end, it's them who has to execute it. And they did it well. So clearly there's been a lot of practice put into it. And, well, I mean, that's why they're here.
Yeah, and when we've had listen-ins, I mean, it would be great to talk more about Mithrin, but unfortunately we haven't been able to chat to him because he's not here. So following on with another point about Shinjae, when we had the listen-ins, he's vocal the entire time at the start of the game, the mid-game and the late game. And you can see that he's always giving commands and keeping everybody psychologically in the game as well.
He's doing everything he can to hold the morale high and also, with a firm hand, as you said, let them know what's up and what to do. Yeah,
and guys, we are at this point about 1 minute away from that first map. Where do you see this one going, Toby?
It could go both ways. What I want to see is people in military from both teams.
Yeah, that was the very first analytical point I think you made on desk.
Yeah, and it is the most important one too.
Yeah, so for a wrangle, you think even in the 32 versus 32 format, based on the RNG of the circle, you should at least have a strong task force centered around the military island.
Yes. I mean, just have some there, because if it doesn't go there, you can get away. Just go around one of the bridges, go on either side, secure yourself at least one bridge to cross over should the circle go down there. And also, should it not go down there, you can just go north. I mean, what's the big deal, right? So it's a sort of risk-reward kind of thing. There's not really anything going against that. But what I want to see from the Greek team, because they've been doing all the research, right? They know that the Turkish team is kind of the whole one-unit thing. And these guys, they like to split up. They like to go in between and sort of cut off players. How can they do that against a team that lands so much together?
Yeah, well, the thing about the Greek Cypriot team that Shinjae mentioned to us as well is that they specifically don't mind where the other team are positioning themselves. They have a very much set strategy that they're going to execute anyway. We're going to drop here, and then we're going to end up doing this. And so in that sense, you know, where Turkey drops, is it that much of an issue for the Greek Cypriot team?
No, it's going to be interesting too, because, well, they were up against both Ukraine and Finland, and both Ukraine and Finland kind of let these two teams dictate the battle. Like, decide where it was going, decide what was going on. But these two teams, both big powerhouses, big punters on both of them. And they, of course, want to be the ones to say, you guys should come over here and fight. But if they don't, well, I mean, who's going to be the aggressing ones? We'll have to wait and see.
And right about now, we can see the teams dropping. So the blue guys on screen for everybody at home are Team Turkey. And the Greek Cypriot team are the Reds.
A little confusing for those, but we got 7 games potentially to go through, so I'm sure we'll get used to it.
Yeah, we're seeing a west to eastern plane path, and it looks as though we might see a relatively 50-50 split down the center of the map from north to south and how these teams are splitting up. We can see some of the Greek and Cypriot players heading towards the military island. Oh, wait, we do have an outlier there.
Yeah, I think that's an AFK jump, maybe.
You think so?
Yeah. They're not really... Oh, one of them is moving now. The other guy is just, like, kind of stalling in the air. You can see Code is going down. Pandix is... Oh, he just popped his shoot. He's realizing that he's deep behind enemy lines, and he has to get there's something out of there.
Yeah, dropping, and...
He's just going straight down and trying to see if he can get himself a vehicle, potentially, and get somewhere over on the other side.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, that's... in comparison to what we've seen so far, we've seen, guys at home, if any of you aren't returning viewers, a big range of how the initial drops start and how the different nations split their initial pushes or looting strategies. And on a wrangle, we started things off with a 50-50 between Team Turkey and Team Finland. And this seems relatively similar. Like, this is quite a standard drop in that sense.
Look at this circle, though. If this commits to military, you got Greece and Cyprus already with control of the Western Bridge. And this is where you got to ask yourself, how in the universe, if you're Turkey, do you manage to get over to the island now? Because if they already have control of the entire Western coast,
they just need
there's
to
no entry point.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no entry point whatsoever.
I mean, help me here in terms of theory crafting, right?
Yeah,
For me, I'm looking at the map. I'm seeing the Western Bridge is the only entry point, right? Unless they are able
boats,
to...
of course.
Yeah, and boats. And so how could they approach the bridge? How could they use boats? I mean, surely in either circumstance, if the right angles are set up by Greece and Cyprus, it's not going to look too good for Turkey.
We actually had a really good game. We can bring up the map again real quick. We had a really good game with the UK where they held the bridge against the French. They sent X amount of players onto each bridge themselves, and then they put a couple of guys, just like 100, 200 meters in between, as kind of post towers around the entire island to give the info. If they're trying to get around the boats, you have them sit in there just to give the info, then they can swoop their teammates around. You need to spread out and take full shoreline control of the island here. Because you will know, I mean, probably, let's say, you'll know at least 30 seconds before they actually hit the beach if the boat is coming in. Because, I mean, you'll see it in a pretty far distance, and don't get that fast too, right? So you can get over 5-6 players, and if you explode that boat out in the water, there's no knocks. It's just pure death.
I'm buzzing, Toby. I really like the way that this first map is shaping up, considering where the circle has dropped and how much emphasis you've put on the military island. I think, this early on, I feel like we've learned if there aren't that many engagements straight away and there's no sort of exact telling sort of positioning, that it's hard to see where games go. But because of where the circle is being sent around that military island, it feels like there's going to have to be a pretty big push by Turkey at some point, and really they're going to have to really execute some smart strategies to break the Greek Cypriot defense line that surely will end up being set up.
I mean, they are good. They are good at doing exactly that, making that committed push for on forward. We've seen them do it so many times before, and that's pretty much what's got them here to begin with. But you see, there's just 2 boats. I mean, that's 8 people you can get across right there, right? Do we have anything else down here? I don't think so. Oh, there's a jet ski as well. That's 2 more, so we are up at 10. That's going to be 14. I mean, if you're smart, honestly, if you're smart at this point, because if you're Greece, you have both bridges under control right now. Send a couple of guys down, take all the boats across now. Just sail them over right now, so all the Turkish players are going to be like, wait, what? There are no boats?
So you're saying the Greek Cypriot players should kind of...
Go over, take the boats, come back.
Okay.
You might as well. I mean, you don't need that much ammo and stuff anyway.
Sure,
right?
but it's... for us with hindsight and overview, that seems like the right decision. But surely the Greek Cypriot players aren't necessarily sure how pushed up Turkey could be.
Obviously, they don't know how far up they've made it, sure. But for example, here, instead of just taking 3 guys in a vehicle, splitting the 2 vehicles, take the boats. I mean, why not make like the disadvantage even bigger?
Well, let's see what happens here as they approach the bridge. If any of them break off,
they could what do you want to do here? Of course, as well, put those vehicles in and block off the entire bridge.
Oh man, you're coming up with some.
No, we've seen that happen so many times.
Yeah,
blockade, like full-on blockade on the bridge. That's what you want to do.
Okay,
you got to do that. Just
Which
park
teams
them sideways.
Have you seen do that?
That was the
really
French,
cool.
the French and American, like French and British as well. They made a really nice blockade. But now look at this. They're allowing them over. They're not committing. They're not.
But Mithrain here, off on his bike. Where's Mithrain going? Where's the captain
turning around
for Turkey?
They're turning around. They're realizing, well, these guys are sitting over there. They were waiting for it. They knew it, and they're going back now to sit and see if they can scout further forward. You see, you already have the players. You can see them in the very bottom right corner of your minimap down there. There are players waiting. You have 2 guys. It's only 2 though. There's not a lot of players. Should 4 vehicles come over? I actually kind of like this. Mithrain came up and the guys were like, no, you're the captain. You cannot go first. We'll send some expendable ones instead of you.
We're seeing an engagement here, the first of the match.
Oh, and it's a DP as well. 47 bullets in it.
Essentially,
that's gonna blow those vehicles to pieces.
3. Oh no! So yeah, the reinforcements are coming in for Turkey. There's definitely some sort of sense between both teams that
they need more people.
They need more people. That they're under pressure.
And look at this. Now they send over the first guy. Sure, one guy is shooting, but look at how many vehicles are coming in. They're allowing them across, and Billum is forced to pull back now. They have to be up here. Now they're coming in. You can see it from the Greek side as well. Now they're coming in to help, but it's going to be too late. They've already got a foothold on the other side.
So Turkey there making the decision to push early and not let the Greek Cypriot team properly set up. Nonetheless, it is Perfetkis that takes out Mithrain, completely off the server.
Captain down.
Captain down.
BSD taken down now as well, and that's what the Greeks need to do. They need to just take full control. See, this take out the vehicles now, so they're trying to block off the road here. They do not want to let them on over. They do not want to let them cross. Chinche now all up on the front line here. Captain representing his team, keeping the morale high, saying, you guys, you need me up here, I'll help you out. But they're just, it's leaking too hard, man. It's leaking way too hard down here.
Shinje has been a force to be reckoned with, both whilst he's been alive and been dead. He's got a knock there, which I'm sure he'll shortly finish off. And it seems like a lot of Turkish knocks coming up there, but now they return fire, knocking Shinje, the captain, and Give It To Me.
But
this is a relatively quick start for Erangel.
It is. But look at how many Turkish players have made it across. Now, not only this, but they've secured the beach behind them as well. So because they had the boats on the western side down by Primorsk, they can now cross over safely. As long as these Turkish players that have already gotten themselves somewhat of a front line here, as long as they keep this front line, they have a chance. And look at how much damage they're doing.
That's 5 Greek Cypriot deaths there.
Yeah. All of them going down.
I think it's definitely showing the level of tactics being employed by both teams here. The Greek Cypriot team had a good setup in terms of where they put their initial drops. And Team Turkey then, after seeing the circle land, realised, look, we're going to end up being completely blocked out of this island and the circle if we don't make some action now. So they started pushing across that bridge, and it wasn't really clear which team would end up on the better side of things. But now Turkey have got a bit of a foothold and pushed the Greek Cypriot teams back.
I would say right off the bat here, should Greece and Cyprus not win this first game, normally you can say, oh, the other guys just bested us, but this one was theirs to win. They had the island, they had full control, they just didn't, they didn't take charge when they had a chance to. And if you're a team in Turkey, maybe that's the thing, right? If you're Greece and Cyprus, they just haven't been up against that yet. They haven't been up against a team that dares to just full commit to one thing. And now the circle does go east. It commits pretty much to the military island. It seems to me like all the Greek and Cyprus players, they're just retreating.
Yeah, we're having that moment where after heavy engagement, heavy fire, that there is a break, a repositioning. They're moving now to the Greek Cypriot team deeper into the circle. They're deciding that the positions they're currently in aren't really worth it. Currently being drawn, our attention is being drawn to Kalimdor, who is
just chilling
in the vehicle.
Marco made it across as well, far off from his team, but he's down here.
Yeah, so Code Marco and Kalimdor doing some sort of reconnaissance, or
they're gathering info, sure, but the info Kalimdor can provide might not be as useful as the info Code Marco.
Yeah, no, of course. He's so far out, but I'm thinking, is he going to circle around to north of the bridge just below Milta?
Yeah, Milta. Could be.
He wouldn't necessarily be able to offer up a lot of resistance, but he could potentially get one knock or put some damage down.
Could be.
Or at the very least, and potentially most importantly, get a lot of information.
Yeah.
And at least do some sort of containment. If you are going to be like one versus what? Look how many Greeks...
You might not want to start shooting.
Yeah, but also if you end up being forced into that position, you want them in a channel, right? Straight
Oh,
in
yeah,
front of you.
for sure.
But right now, it looks... Yeah, it's hard to tell exactly which... We'll catch up with Kalimdor shortly, but we can see the Greek Cypriot team now very much centralised around the circle.
Look at how
Novo to their east.
Look at how much room the Turkish team is getting down south. It seems to me like the Greek and Cyprus players are saying, you know what, guys, you can come in from the south. We won't go up against that.
Kalimdor's doing it. He is going to the north of the eastern bridge.
Yeah. Too bad they're already sitting up there holding it.
Yeah. That's so smart by the Greek Cypriot players that they're aware that someone could be, or at least there could even be a task force doing it, right? Could be making a play to get some information north. Mobsy looking directly towards where Kalimdor could be, but his attention is also drawn to the wide open area to the west of the military base too.
Now, the good thing is we have all the Persos players in what we like to call the observatory, just southeast of where Nazgul is positioned. All these players, they have such a high ground position that they can see pretty much everything going on this island. So even though all the Turkish players are maneuvering around south, they must have given the info at this point that they're all the way down there, because they can see all the way down there. So they must have seen all those vehicles come around. Like, they have to have seen. Now they're starting shooting as well. They must know that this is where the pretty much the entirety of the Turkish army is at this point. You can see this position.
I have a feeling that the Turkish team are looking to create that sort of half moon, that semicircle from where they were coming to where Code Marco is.
Yeah.
And that's going to be sort of their wave that they're going to push, or see, look, like they're creating that cluster, that spread around the southeastern section of the map. And yet Kalimdor is now north of the bridge.
Look at where the circle goes now, too. It actually somewhat, I mean, it favors the team that will be the quickest at getting down here. They both have a chance. Nazgul's all the way down immediately, but look at the positioning averagely.
Could Nazgul be overcommitting by going that quickly? When
could be too, he could be moving too fast. I mean, if his teammates aren't down there to help him.
Talking about moving too fast when the Greek players are running over his teammate. We have seen that before from them. And yet Nazgul now being forced into an engagement against Logi, Slippy, and Nash Bey? Smash Bey, yes. 3 Turkish players. And the Greek team reacts straight away as well. They realise they need to plug those holes. Chester pushing up. Nazgul now relatively safe. We're in a relatively even position. The Turkish players do have some high ground over Novo. And this is a full-on engagement.
They need to get down here quickly. They need to take full control. But once again, seems like the Greek and Cypriot players are allowing for Turkey to get in. And you cannot give Turkey too much room. I mean, once they get a chance to utilize their move as one unit and start fighting, that is going to be so difficult for them to handle. We have players from Greece that are trying to kind of maneuver their way up top. If they can pin them down,
fantastic positioning.
If they can maneuver and pin them down, that would be really smart for them. Polarovic, you see, making his move up here, but he's taking so much in for his team too, because he's spotted out this entire flank.
Doesn't manage to get a knock, but does a lot of damage. However, drawing attention to himself as well. The point you just mentioned, I think that's the right idea from Greece and Cyprus, to try and get some people up on the high ground. You know, it defends them from the high ground. They can get more information on the low ground in Novo.
And it also just goes to show they're kind of trying to pull off the same moves here. They're just mirroring each other completely.
Ooh, big nade there.
Right on the money.
Well, a nade from 2 players, and it's Lost Rays that takes out Polyderic.
Gets him down in the end, but there's still somewhat of a denial on the flank around, being put up by seemingly 5 players. Could they commit some more? Seems like they are as well. Up over the top, they could have these players completely pinned inside these, what do we have here, 5, 6, maybe 7 houses.
Urban warfare Urban warfare. Gecko in a compound. Does that have a specific name, this compound?
It's a warehouse.
Yeah, just the warehouse in the center of Novo. It's an interesting position because he's, on his own, but he can look out, he can get some information. It's so hard in areas like this where there's so much cover to know exactly which angles you've checked and if you need to check them again. But nonetheless, he does have that vision, and he's kind of out there being a bit of a cheeky, small-level UAV.
Oh, goodness, I think they've spotted what was the side push here. Rita's been spotted out. She's putting a lot of pressure in return, down to just 10 HP. And actually, guess who goes down? But a lot of fire now coming in from the Greek and Cypriot team.
An exchange there from both teams. 26 for 26. I really think this is showing us how much potential this grand final has. Both of these teams looked relatively strong against their respective opponents in the semi-finals. And now we're seeing both teams, over the course of the last 15 minutes on this first map, reacting to each other, picking smart positioning, and also landing the shots and utility when it matters.
And you can see how they're playing. They want to get around. They want to be able to sit underneath. They're just continuously running south, trying to pin each other out. Because also for Turkey, they know if they allow for them to get around, it's going to be impossible for them to go anywhere should the circle go back out west. It
feels like both of these teams, compared to the other teams we've seen so far, have the best grasp of 32 versus 32 sort of movement and reaction in theory.
Theory crafting here. did Greece and Turkey, because we kind of gave them a little bit of beef for not going down here fast enough, did they just lure them into a trap instead by saying, oh no, we didn't get down in time? And now they're saying, ha, you fell for it. Now we can sort of contain them inside because they have water all the way around. Like, there's nowhere else to go.
That's not a bad point.
That would be like 200 IQ in-game leader and saying, nope, give it to them. We'll just go all the way around and keep them inside.
Yeah, because it's... Yeah. So you mean that on the side of Turkey? Or Greek?
Oh, Greek and Cyprus.
Yeah, Greek, Cyprus, because they're the ones now that are looking towards the water, and it's the Turkish team that have their backs to it.
Only thing is...
So by letting them get that control first, they end up putting them in essentially a bit of a corner.
Exactly. Only thing is going to be, if this circle somehow continues to go down towards the city... Yeah, that's not what you want to have happen, Coach. If this circle somehow continues to go down towards Novo, then look at this push they have to make in the open. Downhill, in the open, no vehicles. It's going to be a tough push down for the Greek and Cyprus teams, should they be forced to make the run down from here.
Yeah. Six ahead for Greek and Cyprus, but we do know that sort of lead isn't too substantial, but it can quickly spiral out of control. We're in a period of rest for both teams now, that they're sort of just feeling each other out after they've established the current positionings that they're in.
They have only got one player. I mean, if you look at the map, I think they have one player that's not inside of Novo. Everyone else is pretty much inside either a house or the containers area. See, they're far out in the distance up there. There's one player. There's one player far down south in the distance, but everyone else is inside either the warehouse containers or the houses themselves.
Yeah, this is careful, calculated play by both teams. It's going to be quite telling when the next circle pops.
And I think that's going to be no one engaging.
Yeah, I think that's what both teams are waiting for, sort of minimizing losses and not overthinking things until they have to adapt what they're doing to the new circle.
I couldn't agree with you anymore on that. I mean, just tap a few shots if you can destroy a helmet, because at that point, technically for that, the Turkish team is in an advantage in the fact that they can come down into these houses, maybe get a new vest, maybe get a new helmet that can set them up for a better position later. But if you're knocking people on the top here, if you're knocking Greek players, hitting them, destroying the vests, destroying helmets, I don't really see where they can run to get any sort of upgrades in that regard with them being out in the open. But new circle does pop. Who is it going to favor? I said that too early.
Let's see. 19 minutes in, and the circle... Who does that favour there? I mean, it doesn't really change too much.
It goes to the direction of the Turkish team.
Yeah, but I don't think it necessarily changes how geographically these teams are going to fight.
Look where on the southwest, look where all these players are sitting from the Greek and Cyprus team. They are running back now, the other way. Because if they have to push down to the next tree line, there's no running up north for them. Because right now they have control of the northern side of the city. If they go further down south now, like further towards the city, they will not be able to make that flank around the side.
The Greek Cypriot team look like they want to put a lot of resources north of Novo and collapsing that way. Yeah, everyone's coming down.
Coming in. This is their only free entry point to the city, right?
Yeah, this is the push that they're making. They still have some vehicles so they can get into safety in relatively fast speed. And yeah, now they are committed to Novo, at least the majority of the team.
Seems like they just want to go up and get down inside.
And Turkey now, going slightly south, almost taking over.
I think they're staying. They are staying in the same.
No, and yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you're right. They are staying in that building.
They have pretty much 3 groups right now of players, and then a few players scattered out in the containers area.
Yeah, and then there's just a small task force of Greek Cypriot players still on the top of the hill.
Yeah,
could that be? A group of players that then tries to do a late flank?
Could be. Question is whether they want to stick around for much longer, because if they have to push down towards the city, they might just find themselves caught out in the open. I think the majority of players actually from Greece, I think the majority of them went north.
Okay.
I don't think we have anyone else hogging the hill.
No, it is. It's what we noticed before. Okay, here we go. In the container area, Gecko coming through, completely deletes Shish off the server. Pandex behind him, ready to support.
Nice.
MFS unable to help his teammate. He needs to reposition. He's under a lot of fire now. Grenades raining in.
I like the play coming in from Greece and Cyprus team. They're really holding him off. They know the importance of that one play.
Infistil with a good angle here.
He gets him. Good job by MFS.
Yeah.
Constantly shoulder peeking, like looking out around the corner, making sure to get the finish off there before he runs back. Smart play. MFS is playing for the Kebabs on a daily basis.
Playing for the Kebabs?
Yep, that's their team name.
Oh, okay.
I just love it because it's Turkey and kebabs.
I had a kebab last night. It was good.
Yeah.
Sweden has good kebab culture.
Yeah, they do. They do. Indeed, they do.
Gava Armet knocking Negriano. Magebane high up there.
Good overview.
The container mover.
Is that what it's called?
I think what those things do. They pick up the container.
Yeah, they do. I just wondered if that's the name for it.
Container mover is just a literal sort of phrasing I came up with it. Okay, the circle now very much centered around the Turkish force.
Yeah.
But, you know, the Greek Cypriot players with their northern position can move around the cover that they're in to get within there.
And this is where you might benefit more from having smaller squad communication. Because once you're in these container areas, you cannot have 8 or 10 people talk at the same time. You need that, just like that duo thing, where you pick one corner, have the guy trade immediately if you're there. I mean, this is close quarters gone next level if all these players have to run around between these containers.
And yet still, so now, just now, the two Greek Cypriot players that were on the hill are starting to come around to that northern side, a bit close to the rest of their squad. Turkey still at a disadvantage, but not much movement from them. The main battles that have been happening so far on Nova have been around this container area, and we've got now that moment where people are rethinking their strategy.
And the issue at this point is you can't really push any further. I mean, they're pretty much locked down where they are right now. If you try to push into a next house, you don't know if there's going to be one, if there's going to be 8 players inside it, right?
No, it looks like we're getting to the end game of this match.
Yeah.
At some point, there's going to be a big engagement, a lot of commitments. We see Marco and Anil taking off a duo from Pearsos, Black Label as well. And these are the knocks they need to try and make up the numbers. They need to finish the kills off, but it's a good way to get things started.
And that's the point exactly. They need to finish them off where they can, because they can get the knocks from their windows, but they won't be able, they can't push on it because they do not know what they're running into on the other side of the street, right? So there's a bit of a stalemate right now. Unseen, obviously.
Unseen.
Hiding it out in the compound. Look at how many knocks coming in from Turkey right now.
Yeah, a lot of knocks. But Unseen is going to, unfortunately, fall as well, and he's going to be taken out.
This is just one.
The trades are coming in.
Yep.
Trades are coming in.
Just got to take that one building at the time to maneuver your way further forward. And they just got themselves one more of those. Things are going so well. Chester?
Chester...
Maybe some visual stuff? Oh, no. He got knocked.
Oh, I see. He thought, yeah, but sometimes observing in game, you don't exactly see a literal view of what they're seeing. I imagine he was scoping through the door.
Yeah, something like that. Just a little...
I thought that was actually a teammate on the other side.
Also, if you're 37 people in Nova, I'm sure their FPS is sitting somewhere around 15 to 18 right now, so...
You think so?
I don't know, but it's probably. I mean, there's a lot of tension on the server with so many people being alive in this area.
Definitely.
That's for sure.
Almost completely even, 18 to 19.
It's pretty tied up. I mean, they were up by 6, right?
Yeah, waiting for the next set of knocks.
And they have the percentage now. Let's see.
Here we go. Ooh, that is a circle that very much favours Team Turkey. They are going to love seeing that coming down on the map. It puts the Greek Cypriot players at a slight disadvantage now, but we've seen them in this position before where the circle does not favour them, and they manage to make the right plays to put pressure on and not let the circle dictate their fate.
This is interesting, really interesting. I mean, it seems to me like Turkey, they just came into the south side of the city. They never wanted to go north, and now they got 4 hardships down towards them. Pretty fortunate in the positioning. But now we see, I was just going to say as well, there's no reason for them to push down into the city. Go out east, because you actually have an area in the containers that's inside the next circle. Yeah,
exactly. And the Greek Cypriot players seem to be thinking along the same lines as you, Toby. They're doing that rotation. Now, MFS 1905 feeling the wrath the Greek Cypriot nation, but it is Yumba that is going to be taken out, as well as Negriano getting knocked. Oh, and the nade finishes him off. Turkey here really doing a good job of keeping this Greek Cypriot rotation from exploiting their position. all-out warfare in the container area. Trades on both sides, 17-17.
And you can see the Turkish players realizing that the swoop on the side is happening, and they're now putting so many more players over in this corner. That nade could be on the money. Gets himself one more. Players are starting to die to the blue now. We are in phase 7, and this wall of death is going to do so much damage and take so many players with it. But look at the kill feed constantly popping off.
Exactly, and it's Turkey now that are doing a great job of forcing the Greek Cypriot players into those angles.
But again, should Turkey win this one, it's on Greece to have thrown the game. They had military, they had the control of the Western Bridge, they just never committed to it early enough, and it cost them so much. We talked about don't give Turkey too much space because they will utilize it, and it's happening right here. Everyone except for Gucci caught inside that warehouse right now.
Oops! Guts here trying to make a hero play, but unfortunately stubbed out by Dogs. And Turkey now putting the final stamp on Erangel, and it is their victory to start off this best of 7. Wow, so things really came to a head in Novo. The circle there, you know, it was relatively even across both teams.
Yeah.
And it was Turkey that maneuvered things to make it favor them.
Yeah, they played it smart. I mean, sure, they got some circles down in the southern side of the city in the end there, but they held their ground. They played it smart, and to be honest, I mean, they made it to military, despite us saying if you don't have it, there's no way you can win it, and they did it.
Yeah, so that was the sort of initial play from Turkey that really kept them in the game. Because in that early stage, it was the Greek Cypriot team that had control over military, and we were like, look, Turkey are in a tough position now early on, because if the Greek Cypriot players maybe create a blockade or if they have proper control over that westerly bridge, then Turkey are going to have such a tough time getting across.
Exactly.
And it's like they read our minds. They were like, okay, let's not wait at all. Let's get across there, put some pressure on. And I'm slightly surprised that the Greek Cypriot players at that point didn't have a better defense or wouldn't challenge them more to try and stomp out that movement straight away.
They could have done it twice as well, right? Because they had the initial circle up on the northern side by the western side of the bridge, but also once the circle went out east, they gave them so much room to maneuver around the southern side. Like, they could just send a couple of guys down there, they were all in vehicles. Start spraying at those cars, you'll get like 3-4 kills with every explosion.
Indeed. A good first map from both of our teams. Turkey coming out on top. They'll need 3 more of those victories, though, to get the majority maps out of this best of 7. Toby, I think it's time to head to a break and then come back with our second map in 5 minutes.
Team! Watermark! Watermark! Smoke! Κάτω φίνεις, κάτω φίνεις. Τι είναι, μαζευτείτε.
Έχω κάνει 2 knocks στο...
Μαζευτείτε. Καλύτερα μιλάτε 8 άτομα.
Afras'ı ben οδηγήσω bro. Adamlar var bizim orada.
Geçmişler bizimkiler.
Geçmiş ama adamlar 2 kişi gelip vuralım işte.
Ben düştüm.
Geçelim o zaman.
Adamlar uzaktan tutuyor artık.
Cengiz.
Bravo.
Cengiz altında biri.
Garajda eve girdiler, garajda.
Μόνο έναν.
Έτσι στα κοντέινερ είχαν ένα άτομο. Φύγαμε, μη βαρέσει κανείς ξανά.
Stack oynayın.
Şüpho beni alsana. Gazda kaldılar.
Let's go! Helal be!
Welcome back, everybody, to GLL Nations Royale. We just saw the first map from our European Grand Final. It was Team Turkey that beat out Team Greece and Cyprus, the Greek Cypriot team.
Yeah.
So much easier if I just say Greek Cypriot team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a measured game. It took about 8 to 10 minutes before there was some significant movement, and we were surprised by the Greek Cypriot team when they had control over military, of not having a better blockade or control over the Western Bridge, and Turkey pushed through, exploited that, and then just from there, slowly withered down the Greek Cypriot team and came out on top.
And to me, that's interesting because it kind of goes to show that maybe the Greek team hasn't been used to being up against opponents that have capitalized so hard. Because they're a team as well that if you give them any sort of wriggling room, boom, they'll go and take it, right?
Yeah.
They've not really been up against that before, so maybe they just came off to a bit of too much of a slow start.
I completely agree. The Greek Cypriot team, from what we've seen so far, are a team that will exploit mistakes, but also, when they're at a disadvantage, not be afraid of making plays and making moves.
Yeah.
And in this instance, it seemed like that role was reversed, and it was the Turkish team that took the opportunities when they arose.
Exactly. So interesting to see how they will go into game number 2. We talked about, I talked to Chinjay before we got into this game, and he said his favorite map to play was, in fact, Erangel. So for them to lose on that one to start things off, that could be a bit of a
bad omen.
Yeah, exactly. A little punch in the chest there. So because they have 3 more games to play that won't be Erangel, right? So potentially, if they don't get things going here, if Turkey starts winning more and more games, that could be them over and done before they get back on Erangel.
Yeah. Potentially, our second map, was it Sanhok? Yeah, Sanhok. All right, so we're going from Erangel, which is a lot bigger than Sanhok.
Yeah.
We've seen some good performances from the Greek Cypriot team on Sanhok. It was the map that we were referring to before, where Shinjay fell very early, first down his team, and they eventually mounted a insane comeback.
Yeah.
Really, Miramar is second.
Oh, it's Miramar,
I think.
Okay, yeah. A little miscommunication on
Thank you,
part.
producer Patrick, for correcting us. And Miramar is second. So we're heading to the desert.
Yeah.
We're drying things out,
Oh, Jesus.
Hulk Jesus, yes. Yeah, we've got them up on screen. Erangel, Miramar, then Sandhawk.
There you go.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So we're heading over to the homeland of Hulk Jesus. Hopefully we'll get some images up of that for you guys at home that aren't aware of the meme that me and Toby are promoting. You know, we're trying to turn it into a big movie
Get
franchise
t-shirts?
with Michael Bay.
Matching t-shirts, maybe?
Yeah.
Hulk Jesus?
Or like cosplay. I don't know. Either way, Miramar is going to be a very different affair to Erangel. Which team do you think this map is going to favour, if at all?
I would say, honestly, to a certain extent, Greece. Because the Turkish players we've seen capitalize on being able to push their opponents and take the fight up front. But unless if you get into these close quarter areas, for the most part, Miramar is just so open.
Yes.
And if they start pushing aggressively like they did here on Erangel, and the Greek players are in a good position to sort of pull them out, like pick them off before they get there won't be a lot of Turkish players left once they hit the front line.
The Miramar match that I've enjoyed the most so far was it the Ukrainian-Greek Cypriot match where
Could be.
they ended up fighting on the crater, or was that the Turkish?
Yeah, no, that was the Ukrainian and Greek.
Yeah, that ended up being a very technical battle over the crater.
Yes.
Lots of complex angles there, and it was a match that built up at a very nice pace. So I'm hoping to see some of the same, if not something that is just as exciting, but in a different fashion. Where are we dropping, boys? The cargo plane now shooting across the map. Can't exactly see which direction it's going to.
Going
from.
straight west to east.
Okay,
over
west to
El
east.
Sahar. Yeah.
West to east. And we'll get that map up now so we can see how the teams are splitting. Very different to the first map. We've seen different strategies employed by both teams, and we've seen times where people drop in the same area and then there's different offshoots of the nations. And now what we're seeing is sort of northwestern quadrant and then a group of both northwestern sort of offshoot of Turkey. And then on Monte Nuevo, we've got an amalgamation of both teams dropping.
Yeah, we've got 7 players from the...
Blue is Turkey.
Yeah, completely inside out. From the Greek and Cypriot team trying to get a little bit of a foothold here in Montenegro, and it's kind of makes sense. Hulk Jesus!
Hulk Jesus, praise be.
Yeah, praise
Shout out
be.
to Michael Bay. Thank you for tuning in and sending us
Feel so bad
script.
for people coming in today like, what in the
It's fine.
actual
It's
universe?
fine. They get it. Everyone gets Hulk Jesus.
Of course they
This is a really interesting drop, actually. A wide... Well, no, actually, it's in... Not necessarily the widest area, but the spread of each team is split up.
Yeah.
Right? And guess who getting the first drop on Enemy Pro? I'm not sure if he'll finish that kill.
Oh, I thought you were going to make a meme. Guess who is getting the first kill?
Guess who is getting the first kill?
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's one you should be proud of.
Yep.
Shish now being dropped as well. It seems as though the closeness of the drop between Turkey and Greece and Cyprus in that western central area has favoured Greece and Cyprus, at least at the start.
Yeah. I mean,
Kills do need to be finished, though.
That's the thing.
And there's one of them, Enemy Pro.
Enemy Pro goes down, and I think Shish would probably get finished off momentarily as well, because there's not really anyone around to get that res on up. And now this circle.
Look at this.
This circle.
We have, this group of Turkish players with Bilim from Greece and Cyprus on the flank. Then we have an amalgamation of both teams slightly south. Then we have a line of Greek Cypriot players, and a big, probably the half the Turkish team on the centre, and then to the right-hand side we have half the Greek Cypriot players. How are these guys going to navigate to not all be constantly flanking and looking out for flanks?
And that's
it is going to be something to look out for.
And that's going to be interesting because we didn't really see this happen the same way last game. We saw yesterday so many times the Greek and Cypriot team doing everything they could to split the opponents up into 2 groups. Like just see if they can drop down in the middle. Especially we saw it here on Miramar. They did it to perfection as well. They would end up losing that game, but they had a really good start off. And they're kind of doing the same thing here. So they look around for when are they jumping out. And as soon as they're kind of halfway through the amount of players out of the plane, boom, that's when they drop a bunch of guys out immediately to sort of split them up on either side. Shiz goes down there, so 2-person advantage for the Greek and Cypriot team that are currently down by 1 round, but of course, still many more games to be played.
Freezy going for a jog. The circle has decided to land to the southwest. This early on, it's not necessarily favouring either team, especially considering how mixed up the drop zones have been. And that's why I'm looking forward to seeing how they start maneuvering around. Do they start banding together a bit more? Are they going to avoid engagements for a bit, or are they going to try and make some fights happen on the way?
I mean, if I was any of these two teams, I would prioritize, at least right now, even though I know that the Greek and Cypriot team isn't really too keen, like they don't care too much about where the circle goes, it's still going to play a factor. So get those players inside the circle, get them into a somewhat decent position, because you saw what happened last game if you don't take the circle into account and you just let those Turkish players maneuver.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like whilst you don't necessarily have to react or feel the pressure from the circle being announced straight away, it still overall will benefit your team to at least in this 32 versus 32 context, to send off that little task force to gain a foothold within there that's kind of like a safe haven.
I mean, even though we say the circle doesn't matter too much early game, it becomes a crazy big impact late. I mean, we saw it yesterday with, I believe it was the Ukrainian team caught completely down in the corner of the circle, and the Greek and Cypriot team just swamped them. Really, really well played by them as well on the Vikendi map. But
it was Vikendi,
exactly. And here's
that was such a great battle with it to rock formations, no man's land in between the smokes, the nades.
And the circle had such a big impact on that once it shifted away from that corner. They were all kind of trapped in. And here it's going to be the exact same thing. Because if you're 32 players alive and you get caught out in the open, where do you go to hide? Sure, if you're a squad of 4, you can take a tree each, maybe a rock. But if you're caught out in the open with 32 players, I mean, where the hell do you hide here? You cannot do that.
Vikendi and Sandhawk yesterday were really the highlights for me. They had such a good pace. The way the battles built up, and then the split-second decision-making and how that sort of spread through so many different players and how everyone was reacting to each other. It was so cool to watch. And then we saw these ferocious gunfights. And it's also partly why I liked the Miramar match between Ukraine and Greece and Cyprus. They just had a great series in general. Like,
it was good.
The Greek Cypriot team ended up winning 3-1, but it was good. There was a lot of back and forth.
For sure.
And in that first map today, it's why I was slightly surprised with how Greece and Cyprus didn't sort of impress their will earlier on in the match with the Western Bridge on Erengel. They need to make those affirmative actions. They need to be confident enough to, you know, as we've seen them before, impress their play style and take it to the opposition.
Maybe it was one of those first game of the day. Gotta shake it off. You know, just get ready. But it is a game lost, and that's gonna of course be a big factor. Because should they win this one, they will be guaranteed at least one more game of Erengel. We'll see how things are gonna pan out. They're splitting out on each side now.
Yeah, the way the teams have ended up moving over the period since we last saw the map. We've got the Greek Cypriot sort of main force on the eastern side of the map. Then we've got a small task force off to the west. And the Turkish team is essentially in two, split in half at this point. Some around Chumisera and Monte Nuevo, and then a couple stragglers to the north, centre north.
Yeah. And
so things they're coming. People are coming together a bit more now. They're moving towards that circle. They're trying to substantiate their positions.
I mean, and the circle is closing in, so it makes sense to want to get down here. Sure, you can tank that blue circle in the first couple of phases, but that one first aid move, that couple of bandages, boosters are meds you want to have when you get into late game, because these fights can be prolonged by so much. You can be standing for 10, 15 minutes, constantly tapping at people, doing damage, taking damage, doing damage, taking damage. If you don't have enough meds to sort of tank through that, you're going to be having that final fight with under 20% HP and you're going to go down.
And right now we are on board for cross-country road trip with Fine and the squad.
That's a packed minivan.
Guess who at the driving wheel? He's taking him for a little spin down the motorway.
5 people in a van. Please don't crash. That's going to be a painful thing to watch. Or run into red zones. That would also be a bad idea for them to do. But indeed, as we can see, as you said yourself, it's there just before.
Oh, they're kind of like running parallel to each other on the road.
They have these 2 roads that are completely vertical in the center of the map. They are going down south, and seems to me like if they're playing it smart, they can set up a bit of a roadblock should all of the Turkish players go all the way down to Valderrama.
Oh, look.
Seems like they're actually cutting across here.
Oh, wow. On the bike. We just need some action music playing right now. Oh, and he's kind of...
No backflips, though.
Okay, so I wonder if they know about the Greek Cypriot
They wouldn't have it.
No, they wouldn't. So they've just cut behind them, and they have no idea that so there were some Greek Cypriot players just slightly ahead of them. They're going for this villa or a high on the high top of the mountain,
and that's what you want.
Very
to do,
smart
right?
position.
Get up on
lots
the mountain.
Of vision. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw it We saw it with both the Ukrainian and the Cypriot players or teammates as well previously. You want to go up and get that high ground. You want to be able to scout out. The more you can see, the more info you have, the better. Because it's not one of those, oh, we have one squad over there and one team here. This is like, there's 60 players over there. I mean, of course not 60, but there are a ton of players in this corner. This is where their main force is, and this is where their little scout off is.
Am I remembering correctly that on the Greek Cypriot team, it is always Nazgul that's the one guy on his own sort of like floating around?
He does that. He's
doing that again north of the map. He's just on his own, sort of right on the edge of the blue. He's with someone else. We can't see exactly who it is, but he's doing sort of like his recon, I don't know, geographical... he's always off somewhere.
Yeah.
He's not necessarily close to a fight. Sometimes he's in positions where you can see other people. Other times he's just sort of floating around, waiting for... I don't know, maybe an order from Shinjae to do a specific thing.
Look at the amount of info they're getting. Mage Bait and Chester, they're all by themselves in here. They're all by themselves. Look at the amount of players that could potentially be committed in from Turkey. Chester and Mage Bait has to make a run of, and look at who's down here too. Shinjae, he could be going down. He's already down to about 5% HP. One knock, and if knock traded in return, Chester has to apply so much pressure because more and more people will be coming in.
Good cover. He's using it well. Shoulder peeking. He's poking his head out. Oh, but from a different angle across. Wow, yes, from across the valley, he's getting shot out by the
Turkish players.
Yeah, Turkish players. The name disappeared, but he got flanked.
Yeah,
from,
just too
right
many.
Across the valley, and that's a very good job by the Turkish side.
And that's Miramar.
2 kills confirmed for.
Captain is making a run forward. Where are you going to go, buddy? Are you going to get away? You're all by yourself up against the entirety of the Turkish army. Down to low HP, but seems like, at least for now, somehow he's going to be able to make a run forward.
Yeah, as they say in security training, make sure that your armored car has no roof.
So that you know for a fact that if you sit in the back, your head can be...
I don't know. It's just. I thought it was humorous the way Shinjae was running off in a car with no roof. Luckily for him, and unfortunately for Turkey, they couldn't land the headshots on him, and so the convertible paid off.
Do you know when the last time an American president rode in a vehicle with an open roof?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's never been done since.
Yeah,
for a good reason.
Of course.
Yeah.
But Shinjae, the general of Greece and Cyprus there, able to get away using a vehicle. Now we can see on the cusp of this mountain, Turkey and the Greek Cypriot teams battling it out for control. Lostra goes down. Guess who follows up? And that is a very good push with the support of a teammate.
Great trade. He comes up, he gets the knock. Sure, he goes down in return, but he gets so much damage and he gets all the vision. He knows what is happening on top. But look at the tracers coming in from the other side. They're not ready for this at all. The entire army of the Turkish are sitting over here and they're applying so much pressure onto these Greek players.
Look at that, and all the tracers going across the map, going across the valley. The Turkish side there got support from a very far distance.
Yeah.
The Greek players chucking some smoke down, trying to make sure that they are small targets.
And it allows for the Turkish players to push further up too. But look up north. If you can see just on the edge of the screen, there's actually Nazgul and company. They're up there. They could push up and do some damage as well. But we'll see the new circle pop. It's gone down, centering around the Greek and Cypriot team. But should go north once more. We know that these Turkish players, they're hella good at shooting.
10,000 days trying to make a 10,000 meter shot.
Yeah, something like it. Something like it. And the thing is, they're sitting on the northern side of that hill, and that's just exactly out of vision for all these Greek players that want to help out. These Greek and Cypriot players, they're in a good position height ground-wise, but this, I mean, they just cannot apply the same amount of pressure as the Turkish players can.
MFS 1905.
You think that's his birth year?
I hope not, because then he's some sort of wizard.
Legend. Yeah.
It's like it's managed to stay alive for a huge amount of time. He'd have to employ some Gandalf, like yeah, maybe employing the power of Hulk Jesus. Who knows?
Jackson and company, they're sitting down here. They have themselves a pretty good position, able to look down south. And of course, you have a big dip in the middle that neither team really wants to push into. Pullman spots Code Mark around the side, 100 days as well. They're trying to do a flank here, but they've been caught off.
Pullman using a vehicle as cover can work out, but if a nade lands on that, it's not going to be too pretty.
Nope. And down he goes as well. Buronara taking him down and out. And we can see right here, Mithrain not a scare, but we can hear some of the communication as well.
Turkey listening, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see how they are communicating right now.
Southwest tarafı.
Abi Mito siz orayı salsanız abi. Boş verin o fight'ı salın, arabayla bizimkinin olduğu dağa geçin. Onurları. Bizim önümüzü oynamamız lazım. Benim önümü oynamamız lazım.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I know no Turkish at all, but it's good to hear only a few voices at a time.
Yeah.
The communication is quite clear.
Clear, yep, for sure. That's what you need. That's what you need. You need to have clear communication, especially when there's so many fights, like so much going on at the same time. If you just start jibber-jabbering on top of each other, like maybe the important info that you needed to get doesn't come across the way you want it to. Bill G, you're all by yourself, buddy. How do you plan on doing anything should these guys figure out where you are? He's just hiding.
Polyderic and Anil heading towards the little house that Billum is in. His gun is pointing out. He needs to make sure he's well hidden here. He's checking all of the entrances and exits. Pola doing some healing on the other side of the wall. He doesn't know. He has no idea. Billum completely gets the drop, takes Pola down, but there will be a response from the surrounding Turkish players. Billum needs to play this very smart. He hops out of the window.
There's actually just 2 more players to kill because everyone else made it to the other side.
Okay.
As I said that, though, Slippy.
Oh, wow.
Cow, that's a headshot. Where's Slippy?
Yeah.
No.
Do you think he's one of the people at the very...
Oh, no. This is a Miramar thing that happens. Yeah. Guys, I think what's going to happen in a short moment in our ears is that we're jumping back to us because that's Miramar. You remember how I told you in the beginning of the tournament that Miramar wasn't going to be in because there were issues with the map?
Okay, I see.
Yeah, seems like we might be in for a reset here. So whoever was in the lead there, doesn't matter.
Okay, so we'd have... we'll get word from our producer shortly about what's just happened. I'm trusting Toby's word so far.
Yeah.
But we'll get official... Yeah, so we're not sure right now. Our producer is in our ears telling us it could be a restart, but it's not decided yet. That's a shame. The battle was starting to pick up there.
Yeah, it was. It was sort of building up to something good because they were pretty much even split in the middle of the circle, and we had that big, just similar to the Ukraine game when on Vikendi, the dead man's land in the middle. Nobody wanted to be forced into, and a good fight on our hands.
Yeah,
cut off short, unfortunately.
Okay. What can we analyze from that match? What we saw on in the match
moved wisely.
As it was.
I mean, both teams moved wisely. Turkey landed some good shots. They were in a better position there on the high, like they had the high ground above the high ground, so they were a little bit off there. But overall, I mean, they were landing good shots. They were applying a lot of pressure, and they moved really well in the circle. So even though the Greek and Cypriot team didn't really care too much about the circle, it clearly became a factor for them here.
Okay, so my producer has just told me we will do a rerun of a second map, but we're not sure which map it will be. It might not necessarily be Miramar.
Roger.
Okay, and so for now, whilst we sort that out, some unfortunate technical difficulties, we will head to a break. Toby, I mean, that was an interesting one, and I wonder if it will psychologically affect the players at all, because if you feel you're in a good position, you may be...
annoying.
Yeah, you could maybe feel that it was taken away from you, right?
For sure. I mean, for sure. But there's not the whole... I mean, that's technology for you. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Exactly.
That's how it is.
That can be esports, ladies and gentlemen. Do not go anywhere. We will be back shortly.
touch you for the world. 'Cause I know, I wake up in the morning thinking this is my new love. And I know, we break up in a week because of your snowman syndrome. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. Don't need your conversation, babe, I'm afraid you're out of luck. That's too much information. Don't care about models that ya. Whatever. I know. You wake up in the morning thinking this feels dumb as hell. I know. No one could ever love you like the way you love yourself. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as, yeah, I wish you were as big as your ego. Ain't no way I give it up, move to you like I'm in love. You want it, but can't get it. Baby, I don't give a, do I look like I'm in love? You want it, nah, you can't get it. Oh, I wish you were as big as, I wish you were as big as.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, everything is all well and good now. Unfortunately, some technical difficulties on Miramar there. I wasn't really aware of this, but apparently there's just issues sometimes where that map can crash. And so that will be written off, and it was the Greek Cypriot map pick, and so they've had the opportunity to pick again, and they picked Erangel, so we'll run the second map back once more, and it will be on Erangel.
Now, how do they play this one? Because
they have to come back with force, man.
Yeah.
They have to not let happen what happened on
Game 1.
On map 1.
Exactly.
Where they didn't sort of make the moves they need to early on, and they let Turkey sort of push their way onto military. Yeah. And I think Chinjay, the general of Team Greece Cyprus, probably picked Erangel because he's still confident on it. And also maybe psychologically he's like, look guys, let's make sure that we can bounce back on this and also show that Erangel's not like a surefire win for Turkey.
Take it right back there where it all went wrong and show them, well, this was just a blunder. Boom, we're right back in it.
He's trying to come in with a counter punch, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The same thing twice. If it didn't work once, maybe we'll work second time.
Yeah. Pick yourself up and try again.
For sure.
All right, guys. We'll be getting into it shortly. As you can see, Shinjay laughing away, looking comfortable in his lovely hoodie, laughing and ready to go.
And he has to be, right?
I was comfortable
yesterday
yesterday as well.
You were?
In my pink jumper. I was just cozy.
I'm pretty comfortable now. I mean,
you're looking suave, man. I'm liking the pocket square.
I like the shirt.
Yeah, I got this specifically for GLL and for PUBG. So shout out to the crew, everyone backstage.
Yeah.
To
Great
you,
guys,
to the watching public at home. We hope you've been enjoying the tournament. For me, it's definitely been interesting. I've done PUBG before, but I've never seen anything 32 versus 32.
Yeah. No.
And like I mentioned at the start of the day yesterday, it invokes a lot of memories of gaming as a youngster. It'd be so cool to like play with loads of people and have some all-out warfare.
For sure.
And we're seeing like some cool metas develop between the teams. And how each nation approaches each map. And we've seen a big, broad range of strategy and communication.
And I just hope it becomes a thing. I mean, this is kind of it's the first season of it. It's the first time anyone is doing it, especially, I mean, at least within the PUBG kind of frame of everything. And I hope it becomes a thing that more maybe will pick up on.
Yeah.
I want more of it. I want to see all these teams progress and make it even more sort of perfected.
Yeah, yesterday, Andy, the captain of Team Finland, they were the guys in the semi-final who lost to Team Turkey.
Yes.
I was hanging out with him last night, and I was asking, because, you chill with your friends and you talk about random stuff, but also when I'm at an event, I like to try, if I'm speaking to someone that's also been working there or been playing, I do sometimes pick their brains.
Get some insight.
Exactly, and so
sure.
I was asking him about what happened with his team and stuff, and he was like, we're a bit surprised because we had some good players. We didn't have the exact ones we wanted, but also that Finland has a background in playing large-scale battles on armor, 100 versus 100, and so I think that there could be a bright future for them if this format continues. I'd love to see that as the meta develops and as more teams have a chance to play on this scale.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now jumping in for the second time today to Erangel. Remember, this is the second map, so maybe if you tuned into Miramar and then tuned off, Miramar did not end, it crashed, and so we are running back the second map, the Greek map pick, and they decided to go with Erangel. And this time they're dropping in a much different fashion to, the playing trajectory is different, but they're dropping in a much different fashion to before. They're still sending some people towards military, and hopefully this time, and funnily enough, it looks like Turkey are reacting to that as well. They're putting some people close to that location.
I like how they're jumping, because they did the same thing last game, which initially gave them the full controls of military island. They knew that they're going to sort of focus on the western side, but they sent people down there as well to say, nope, you ain't getting this bridge either. Boom, we'll take it too. So a smart playing coming out from the Greek and Cypriot team. And as I said before, they now know what not to do. You cannot give these Turkish players any room to work with.
And the Turkish players are challenging for light control straight away. They put some players on that northwestern tip of the military iron. Bilum also there.
2 players across have made it over. And where has the circle gone? It has just popped. And I'm curious to see if we're going down south once more. Well,
no.
There's a slimmer of a chance that it could end up down there, but that's unlikely. It does favor the Turkish, though, quite massively.
Based on where the circle first lands, you can, if I remember correctly, slightly predict where it might end up, or have a rough estimate of the place that it's going to end up being, right?
To some sort of extent.
To an extent.
Not really.
So it doesn't...
Koski is in the red zone. We just canceled the market. We had to talk about it.
Okay. No, of course. No, that's something maybe that I'm not remembering correctly. I thought that depending on where the circle first lands, it's not going to suddenly switch to the other side of the map.
It can.
Oh, it can still do that?
Well, it has to be within the wide circle, obviously.
No, that's what I meant. Yeah.
It cannot go anywhere else outside of the white circle.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. So to an extent, within that white circle, you need to center around there. It
can go anywhere within the white circle.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to reference.
Yeah. Nothing... No shiftings coming out of that. Koski, all by himself, he is in the house for now. Probably wise to stick around for a little while longer, because not only is he in the red zone, but he's also by himself, so should he get knocked.
What I think we need is a circle that centers over the sea, all right? And we're going to have aquatic battles. We're going to create some Navy SEALs, all right? We're going to put diving into the game, harpoons, knife fights underwater. It's going to be like James Bond.
I was going to say, what's James Bond? Monster Ball?
No, wasn't it in Octopussy where he's in the sea? And
I think it's Monster Ball when they're in the water, like fighting underwater.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, a good film. Great acting.
It is. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever gonna. I don't hope it's ever gonna be a thing.
No,
there was a meta. That was probably back when you were casting PUBG as well for season 1. There was a meta where you would just go in the water.
You can't get shot. No, I can't.
You just could jump in the water. Everyone would do that. But fortunately, they have nerfed that to such a rough, insane extent that nobody ever goes near water unless if it's like this really early in the game. It doesn't really matter.
No, I'm memeing. It's just a cool image in my head, right? Like 64.
I've always wanted harpoons.
64 men underwater with breathing apparatus. Battling it out.
There was a game made for that, like an underwater battle royale title. It was kind of an indie Steam kind of Steam Workshop thing, but there was a game made for that. You can probably find it somewhere. But nonetheless, this of course is PUBG, the best of all the battle royales that has ever been made and ever will be made. I hope and think. But for this circle, Turkey has actually got all their players except for 2 inside it already. Not the same could be said about the Greece and Cyprus side of things.
I'm just sort of sitting back waiting to see what Greece and Cyprus do in this situation. Yeah. The circle has the majority of the Turkish team inside it, and the Greek Cypriot players are very spread out, and they've got a very wide arc going from north to south along the east.
Yeah. The observers, they're saying that they'll go over the bridge by Cube and go down over Everest, but I am actually thinking that they're gonna go south around and into the circle around, like swoop all the way around down south over Milta and then come in from down there. Kind of the exact same thing that Ukraine tried to do against them that ended up not working, but maybe they can pull it off better.
All right.
Yeah, that's my bet at least.
Okay. I've just got to sit back and observe and watch and see how things develop.
Yeah. Red zone?
Currently got a lot of Turkish players in the red zone, but they're all safely inside or going between housing. Oh, Anil there taking a dash whilst the explosions are going off.
It's a scary thing to do, but
yeah, we saw it not work out for the American players when they lost.
Oh yeah, they learned it the hard way.
The explosive way.
Explosive way. We are seeing players coming over the northern side, so a little bit of scouting being done by Chester up there. Anil, he actually does go. He does take a rocket to the face.
I'm here. Yeah, he'll get picked up though.
And he gets one more red zone to follow it up.
Oh, exactly.
Red zones like Pachinki, that's just how it is.
Yeah. Getting caught in a red zone is always a scary moment. You're hoping that the air... Who is doing the airstriking? Who is this third force on the battlefield?
Oh, it's Brendan. Like, it's player unknown.
It is player unknown.
He has like a computer at home, like when he's traveling around on his laptop, and he has like like when you know one of those guys that have like way too many tabs open in Google Chrome.
That's me.
He has that's true. Okay, so he has way too many tabs open of games. And he just constantly switches in between them and taps the circle everywhere, like taps the red zone everywhere.
Okay, all right.
That's actually what I think. That's what he's hired to do within like PUBG Corp. Just
he's like the god, right? He's the overseer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. He's like the artillery employee. That's like his job there.
I wonder if there is actually what's it called? Not story.
Lore.
Lore, exactly.
Yeah.
For who's creating those airstrikes.
And I'm sure there is. Yeah. It's probably fan made. I don't think there was ever a lot of lore thought put into the whole game. I know there is some, but not to such an extent that.
Is there an RP community in PUBG?
I'm sure there is.
It must be, right?
I'm sure there is. The Citizens of Yasnaya. It's
Yasnaya.
Yeah, that's a thing, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. No engagements yet, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone taking their time. Mr. Korokas riding off into the distance in his Dusty Dacia.
And it's working, and clearly has good suspension, so...
Yeah.
It's Honor! That's his name, right?
Honor. Honor.
Clearly a slow start, but we all know what that means. That the slower the beginning, because I mean, inevitably, at least 32 people will have to die. So we're just delaying the inevitable. We're just making that end game chaos that will commence at some point even more of a thing. Chinjay now pushing down straight through.
Oh, is he going to go for
10,000 days?
Ooh.
He's jumping out too. He wants the kill.
Was his teammate there trying to crash his car into a 10,000 days?
Look at that. He wants the first one. He wants the first kill of the game, but
doesn't land any shots, unfortunately.
Yeah, not this time. Goes back to his buggy chauffeur and says, "We're going this way." He just like points to his arm. "Go that way, peasant." Oh, Mythrain is down there too. Imagine that. Imagine captain battle. Like everyone stands in the square and chants, and they go Pan against Pan in the middle for the win.
Yeah, he was actually getting chased down by a lot of the Greek Cypriot players there. It was a convoy, but he seems to have gotten away without a scratch.
That was a thing back in the day, right? Instead of having a full-on battle between everyone, like in medieval times, they would bring their best warrior into the middle, and whoever won that battle would win the overall fight. So no more people had to die.
That was an actual thing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. It's not just like a Hollywood made-up thing, but this circle sure is a Turkey thing because, sure we have some Greek and Cypriot players up north, but there's a long way to go for the rest of them. And they all have to cross a field in order to get into the circle too. This ain't going to be easy for Greece and Cyprus. This could be a double Iran-Turkey win. But then again, I mean, we did have Turkey in a bad position game 1-2 that they ended up winning. So nothing's determined yet, but it's going to be hard, that's for sure.
Yes, we know the Greek Cypriot team are capable of amazing comebacks. Just overseeing the battlefield as a whole here. Mythrain still whipping hard.
Yep, it's just drifting around in the US there.
Infisial taking some fall damage there.
That's what happens when you have a bike and you decide to jump off of it at full speed.
Do you think that's what he did?
Most likely. Or tried to do a cool backflip that we unfortunately didn't catch, and then he also fell off and died at full speed.
Yeah.
In the end, dying at full speed.
Code Marco here, who's also been a literal outlier in the sense that he's away from his team, often doing recon. And that's
He did that last game too.
Yeah, and that's currently what he's doing in between his own team and... Sorry, no, in between Nifo and a little squadron of Turkish players.
What do you think the idea of that is? I mean, Code Margo, he did the exact same thing. We kind of thought he was just an AFK jump when he went far east, had to go military, took the boat over all by himself.
Sound cues, perhaps, and just rough information
Maybe
gathering.
Maybe like a set of goggles that nobody else has found yet, or like a sniper with 8 times and just but no bullets, just looks around to see if he can spot people. I don't know. But interesting strategy nonetheless. I like this push from...
the Greeks love to run each other over. Mobsy taking out Pearsos. I think we've seen that the most from the Greek team.
That's... to be honest, when you cluster yourself up that much, you saw how many players were kind of in the same small area there. You have like 6 or 7 vehicles. Everyone's like, okay, we're rotating now. And everyone's trying to run over to their vehicles while everyone else is rotating out. Issues like that can happen. But for sure, it's a rookie mistake to do, and it can cost you. I mean, it can cost you the win in the end.
And that is, if I'm not mistaken, the first knock of the game. BSD.
From an actual...
From Fenerbahce onto Nazgal.
Bullet, yeah. The first bullet knock we've seen so far.
Can
he create... Yeah, he's in a house. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. But we have kind of gotten ourselves somewhat of a front line now.
Yes, on both sides.
What are these Eastern... Greek and Cypriot players going to do, though? Are they going to maneuver all the way north to their teammates? Are they going to maybe go south to make a flank? They're just on. I don't think there are enough players to make a valid, second front at this point.
Yeah, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 of them. No, 8.
It's 2 and 1, 2 in the
8
last
of them.
one. 8 players. That's not enough, I don't think. It's still almost a third.
And we can see Rita or Zerg looking behind themselves on the Turkish side.
Yeah.
So they are aware that something could be coming from the flank, from the rear. They are prepared for that push from Team Greece Cyprus.
Yeah, clearly they have an idea. And also these vehicles, I mean, obviously they're not, it's not Teslas. They aren't that quiet. They're on the contrary, rather noisy. So you will indeed hear them as they maneuver around. That could be a good
drop
thing.
coming in.
Electric car in PUBG that moves completely silent. That would
sounds
be
OP.
so OP.
It sounds completely OP.
But then it's maybe more fragile.
Perhaps.
So if you get spotted, you get killed faster. Could be a thing we won't know, and it probably won't be either. But we haven't really talked a whole lot about these crates. But clearly it's a thing, and it's a...
How much of an advantage can a crate give you in 32 versus 32?
A ton. The fact that you can tank those many more bullets, and the fact you get the ammo, and also, I mean, ghillie suits. That's could be the difference maker.
I do remember we spectated a player on Vikendi.
Yeah, he was throwing up on the hills there.
Was it
No, it was Miramar.
Miramar,
it was
yeah.
on the side of the
and he was under the hill,
yeah, exactly.
And he had his ghillie suit on.
Okay, so the Greek and Cypriot sort of flank here, the reinforcements, they took a few shots over towards GLL and her teammates, and then as their position was revealed, they realized, you know what, let's just join forces with the rest and make our way on up.
Here we go, guys. The teams now banding together, really creating strong front lines on both sides.
Now, for the most fair fight, because I would assume to see the fight probably unfolding with the next circle popping, right?
Yeah.
Where would the most fair circle here be to you? Like, what would be the most fair way of doing this? Are we throwing everyone out in the open, or are we tossing it over to one of these two teams?
So, looking at the map, the quarry sort of seems...
South, yikes.
No, not that far.
Yikes.
I mean, if it's centered around where Magebane and Negriano are...
Yeah.
It wouldn't change too much because the circle would probably land close to the edges of where both teams are currently.
Yeah, I was thinking Swarm too. Thank you, observers. Out west, because the guys from Turkey could still sit up by Quarry, but there's enough cover down on the western side that the Greek and Cypriot players might not be they won't be spottable from the core players anyway. So that could be a fun way to throw things out towards the western side. But of course, we don't know. It's all completely randomized and algorithmed by the gods of PUBG. We won't know. But it's interesting. It's always fun to see where could we get the best kind of even skirmish going on, because circles do play a big factor, especially when you have so many alive in the late circles.
Yeah, and of course we know the circle decides some of that, but regardless of the circle, if one of the teams has the right choice of movement and positioning, they can even the odds themselves, depending on their decision-making.
Yeah. I love the way that the Greek and the Cypriot team have split out, though. They don't have a lot to play for. They don't want to get stuck on the northern side of the road, and they're trying to sort of go into smaller groups. You see pretty much group of 3 individual units down here trying to see if they can get some sort of ground, because the Turkish players, I mean, they're not pulling back. They're not disengaging in this one. They want to be able to contain them north and circle. Well, I mean, diagonally, pretty 50-50 split.
Yeah. Both teams able to rotate into that circle without coming under fire or being at a disadvantage.
There is somewhat of a height advantage, like high ground advantage in this favor of Turkey, but they took that mountain. I mean, the Greek and Cypriot team could have done that, but they were not the ones to get it. And there's a lot of open field on the Greek and Cypriot side of things, so they might all have to go around the northern side, try and see if they can sort of claim that mountain to themselves.
Claiming mountains, climbing Everest.
Yeah. Get to name it, maybe. Doesn't have no name tag on it.
It doesn't,
like
right
the
now,
Greek and Cypriot mountain or the Turkish mountain. You won't know.
Some tenacious fighting going on here between Mithrain, the general of Team Turkey, trying to snipe into the buildings that some of the Greek Cypriot players are holed up in. Checking behind himself to make sure there's no push from behind him.
That could also be a thing.
In
See
the
if you
mines.
can flank some players around the south to do, maybe not like take out a lot of players, but at least just sort of disrupt the focus. So they need to fight on 2 fronts, because this is late game enough that even 3-4 players can disturb that focus quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that in the maps we've seen so far today, that the pace has been so much. I mean, the average pace in technically 3 maps. That we've seen. 2, remember, everybody at home, this is technically the second map.
Yeah.
No, this is literally the second map, but we've seen 3 because of the crash on Miramar.
Yeah.
The pace between these 2 teams has been the most steady so far.
It's it's everything on the line. We're in the finals. There's too much to lose to just try and sort of YOLO your way in there. And they know they're up against a really good opponent, both of them. So there's a bit of respect coming in there. But also, I mean, as we saw from Turkey, if they do get pushed up against that wall, both these teams have the power and the will to commit to it anyway. So it's not that they don't dare go aggressive. It's just that right now they're saying, you know what, we're in a good spot. There's no reason to try and force it, because we're up against guys that can really hit their shots. Yeah,
and we're seeing something that's happening the other maps as well, where the battles start off with long distance engagement, and steadily the rotations into medium and close battles, and now, Mockingjay FPS getting a knock onto Chester as the 2 forces meet across this hill.
We still need that little spark to enlighten what will be this big oil pit we're looking at right now. Maybe that double, triple nade knock coming in could be the call to say, go, 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 send in the cavalry. Because right now, I mean, you see Code Marco, who went up, tried to throw some nades. Went back down to Mithrain saying, buddy, I need your weapon. Can you please just... and then he said no, and then he just shot him. So it's fair. It's one of those, I'm the captain, I'm the ruler. And maybe a little mutiny attempt there, but it clearly didn't work the way he wanted it to.
Code Marco and Shaxi using a grenade there to sort of push back the Greek Cypriot forces. Shaxi now pushing up and knocking Guts, but in return Nifo puts him on the ground.
1-for-1.
And this is it. The oil pit is starting to light, and it's the Greek team that are getting the more significant knocks. But both teams lose a player completely.
Yeah, look at the push around coming in from the... This could be what they need. I mean, this could be what they need. They need some sort of room, because as you can see, the circle has gone pretty much bang center on where they are right now, right? It is up north. They have the area to play around, but they need to somehow get this push on up. And they know there's a lot of the Turkish players that are still down south. If they can make the push and take out enough players early to force it into 2 individual fights, they will have the upper hand in both.
Indeed.
But now they are being forced back
It
down.
looks like the Turkish force have been made to retreat slightly, give up some ground. Smoke's coming down now to disorientate both teams on both sides.
But this is also a huge field to have to push through. Look at this. I mean, and they have high ground up there, right?
It's so interesting the way these battles develop, where it does become a case of two fronts and then a no man's land in between.
Yeah.
And you need to sort of corral, as we were saying yesterday, the enemy team into a position where if you are going to make that push, you're not going to be vulnerable out in the open, and you can move across the land that was formerly dangerous in safety.
The thing for Greece and Cyprus is that if they are forced to push hard down south in just a moment, which could happen, but it could also shift north, they don't have vehicles. I mean, so even though we have this dead man's land, it has to be on foot. And they will need a hell of a lot of smoke grenades to grant just some sort of cover trying to make this run. Because we know the Turkish players, they're great at shooting, as we can see in the kill feed. So are the Greeks, but they will be the ones running with the weapon on the back while the Turkish players are just tapping away towards them.
Yup. Knocks occurring on both sides. Smash Bay and 10,000 days there.
Good off angle. All the way down by the road. 1 minute to go until we'll see who the circle potentially could favor. It could also once again just go dead center and force them even closer. But honestly, I think right now at least, if you look at where you have the Greek and Cypriot players right now, they have probably the margin of the circle percentage-wise. So even if it goes center, they can still stick around to this hillside they're on. But once the Turkish players are forced out of the forest, if the Turkish players are forced out of the forest, they will have no cover at all. You can see it up there. They're already on the edge of the tree line, and they're pretty far down south.
Yeah, Yumba we just saw making a big rotation to the side of one of the Turkish task forces squads. He could act as a distraction. He could get completely behind them. Yeah, he is really pushing up there.
Yeah. He's by himself, though. Kind of limited how much pressure you can put as a solo player.
Yeah, but it's also critical information, right?
For sure.
Using
And it could
deduction
be
to know exactly where everybody is.
It could be him just forcing for 10 seconds 3 or 4 players to look the other way. That can allow for the...
Oh, and look at this. Look right now. So the circle has just changed. It's centered even more just as the teams are collapsing on each other.
Yeah.
And we see 3 knocks in favor of Turkey. Yumba returns. He gets a complete kill on Lipsin, actually. So that flank did work out in a sense. And he's still on his feet. The oil pit has been ignited. And there is a battle happening ferociously in the middle of the circle.
See the damage coming in now. This is going to be so interesting to follow. All these Turkish players that are sitting on the mountainside might just have to push down that bit further, which will push them out into the open. But for now, the Greek players are holding their ground. Yumba did everything he could. He's trying to crawl back. Guys, safe rest. You can come pick me up. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
But ain't gonna happen, buddy. You're down and out.
Indeed, 28 to 27 to 26 now in favour of Turkey. The Greek players seeming to come off worst in this exchange. This is the battle that this map has been building up to. We're 23 minutes in, and it's hard to say exactly where this could go. Circle control is going to be very important here. There's no water close to them, but there is this big no man's land in the middle, and that's going to be the area, I think, that decides the battle. Whoever forces the opponent to make the risk to go into there if they're not necessarily safe. And it's the Turkish team pushing up. Huge knocks coming out there. Pullman returns, taking out Shish, but it's really Turkey now piling on the damage.
As soon as the Turkish players get within nade range, now they're sending down the cavalry from the mountains as well. They know they have the numbers now. And this is where we talk about the Turkish team. One team, one unit. Move as one and get those kills together. Look at
Big
the kill
nades.
feed lighting up. And they're now within nade range as well. This is so rough for the Greek players. They're all pinned down in this
And
little
they're
corner.
in that. They've ended up in that no man's land, surrounded by Turkish players who have much more preferential angles. And it's the Turkish team that are doing so much work here, so much damage. And as they continue to move, they stay active, not only getting the kills, but getting even more advantageous positioning. And I think this one, Toby, is all said and done.
Yeah, they're completely swarming them, and that is going to be the end of the Greek and Cypriot team. Second time now, them going down on the map at least.
On a wrangle, yes.
That Genji said was his favorite.
23 Turkish players still remained at the end of that battle.
Yeah.
It was an explosive end. Mithrain Got a hoodie on now. He's maybe feeling the chills.
Once they got within nade range to throw them down into that dip they were forced into, there was just nothing else you could do. They were so close together. They're sitting practically on top of each other, and every single nade took out 2 or 3 players.
Yeah, and
it's too hard.
It ended up being Turkey that made those small but numerous decisions that put them in the better positions and really forced Greece into what was essentially the no man's land, which is kind of organic and moving around depending on where each team are. But it was Turkey that took advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
And Greece and Cyprus didn't have a response.
They didn't. I mean, they were completely pinned down. And as we've seen so many times, I mean, Turkey, give them that one little tree to push, they'll send 4 guys up there, and you ain't never getting that position back. They just kept taking each little step at a time, and in the end, they had all the Greek and Cypriot players forced down into that little pit there. And every time they peaked up, because you've lost so many players already, you're peaking one guy, 5 guys are peaking you in return. There's no way in hell you're winning that fight.
I am quite surprised with regards to what we've seen from Greece and Cyprus today compared to yesterday. And so why don't we have a chat with Shinjae down the floor and see what he is thinking of everything that's transpired today. George, Shinjae, how's it going, my friend?
Hello, guys. Everything's fine. Everything fine.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna make the comeback. We're gonna make the comeback.
So give us a rundown of what's happened so far today.
To be honest, we were not like really lucky with the circles, but we're not. We do not hope to be lucky. That's not definitely the plan. We got plans. The thing is that we made some mistakes, especially on the first game. Second game was a bit too rough. Like we did not have any kind of info for the circle. We were late on our moves. We were just like completely on the other side of the map. So like. It was really hard for us to rotate and get like the best possible spots.
Is the Turkish team like any of the other teams you've played against so far, or are they more aggressive, or like how do you play against Turkey?
I could say they're really fast. They're really fast. That's what I can really say.
And on that first map, when you talk about mistakes, what mistakes specifically? Because we felt when you guys had control of military on the first outing on Erangel, that you could have had stronger control over the bridge.
Yeah, that was actually a miscommunication.
Okay.
We did not close the entrance of the bridge with vehicles. Like we said, we did not control the bridge fast enough, and we just had so many guys crossing the bridge, and that's all. Like the game should have ended before like someone crosses the bridge, or we should at least make it harder. That's what I mean.
Yeah, makes sense.
That was a miscommunication, though.
Toby, any other questions?
Not really. I mean, I'm excited to see what you guys can do. We saw crazy comebacks and good games for the Greece and Cypriot team, both on Vikendi and Sanok. So you guys can do it, I believe.
Yeah, Shinjae, are you going to go back now and speak to your team and rally them up? What's the plan going forwards?
We just have to like make it happen. That's all.
All right. Well, best of luck, Shinjae. Please go ahead and get ready for map number 3. Nice to hear from him. But also specifically that he's not down now. Everything's okay, he said at the start of the interview.
It's the best of 7. Plenty more games to be played, and we know they're the comeback kings. I mean, they could do this thing. They had that game where they were so hard to pin. They probably had 100 square meters for 20 players, and they made it work. Down in numbers, down in position, they made it happen. They can do this easily.
Exactly.
They can do it.
Exactly. I don't think it's going to be easy, but they definitely have a chance of coming back. They're currently 2-0 down. Turkey lead us in the GLL Nations Royale European final. 2 maps, they need 2 more to take the entire championship. Will Greece and Cyprus be able to come back? Let's find out after the break.
Tamam. Bari ekibi ne yapsın? Kalsın mı yukarıda? Abi gözükmedi ya, kusura bakma.
Net yaya basıyorlar.
Geri çekin.
Abi geri çekin.
Aynen. Farklı açılar yaratın.
Team Black.
Bu kapansın.
Mantardan
Hayır, sağlı oynamaya devam edin abi. Sağ çok iyi.
Bas, devam et neydi?
Abi sağ.
Fazla oyna.
Bas.
Bizim takım bakın oraya, bire bakın.
Aranızdaki
Kes. Helal.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for map 3 of the GLL Nations Royale European Grand Final. Team Turkey are currently up to 0 in this best of 7 over Team Greece and Cyprus. And now we are heading over to Sanhok. My name is Parla and I'm your desk host. I'm joined by the expert analysis of Toby.
Yeah.
What are you expecting to see from Sanhok?
Sanhok, we've seen both these teams play it. We've seen both of these teams win it. And, well, I mean, it's going to be one of those, because both their wins were chaotic, to say the least.
I mean, the Greek Cypriot victory was, I think, my favourite game
amazing.
so far.
It was amazing.
They had this fantastic comeback yesterday over Team Ukraine. They were massively at a disadvantage in terms of circle placement and general geographical control, and they made it work. They took strong action and pressed up against Team Ukraine and made things work.
Yeah, and the thing is here, I mean, we both talk about how the Turkish team is so good at up-close fights. We haven't really seen at any point been them forced to have any of those.
Yeah, that's true. We have heard that, and so far in the 2 maps we've seen, and also the map that was cancelled, Miramar, that we saw, the engagements have happened over longer to medium distances before things closed in, when they already seem to be in the better position. I think it would be telling overall about the team's ability if the pace was pushed faster at the start by Team Greece and Cyprus, and if Turkey can handle that and how they react to it.
What I like to see, though, and we just had that interview with Chinjay just before, he said, we're not worried. We can do this. They know they can. And,
man, that guy is calm, cool, and collected. That's definitely what you need when you're 2-0 down. It is a best of 7, guys, but nonetheless, it's not nice to go down early, but also on the same map twice. And if it goes to the final 3 maps, all of them are Erangel, which they've had those 2 losses on.
Yeah, that's not going to be easy. I did talk to some of the Greek supporters coming into this game, and they were betting on a 4-2 win, even before they knew this. So maybe this was just like the warm-up. You know, now that's when they activate and get full beast mode.
That's what they felt, 4-2 win.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. Because
I wonder what match they were thinking of, though.
I don't know.
With the wins
that was just the gut feeling. The gut feeling was a 4-2 win. So, I mean, it could still happen, but it would require for them to take 2 rounds home on a wrangle in the end of things, and that's going to be tricky.
Okay, we have a northwesterly to northeasterly plane trajectory. Sanhok, a very small map. We can expect a lot of action over boot camp at the start. Technical difficulties there. Unfortunately, no Hulk Jesus on this map.
No Jesus. We've got to find a new one.
Yeah, we can also see the ruins there getting a bit of attention from both teams. I like Sanhok. I do enjoy seeing Sanhok in this 23 by 23. 32 by 32.
The numbers were the same. They just
I just flipped them around. I reversed it, you know, like Blazing Squad. You'll never get that reference. That's a very old UK rap group.
I would have no clue.
Yeah. Flip, reverse it.
Yeah. But nonetheless, we are seeing shots fired already, and it's going to be Greek and Cypriot to take some, not necessarily losses early, because it seems like he could potentially get rest by a teammate. I mean, it's only the first knock, so there's plenty of time.
Yeah.
Thing is, for both Shees and NL, I mean, they're kind of running up in the direction of him. And Mythwain as well have found some opponents early on. There are a lot of players down here in Pioneer.
Ooh, 30 bullets in the clip, and he only needs 6 to put Yours Death on his back. He's going to go over and try and close this one out, and he does successfully. The first kill goes to the general of Turkey.
But we did see what happened last time. The general got a first kill.
Yeah,
He went down in return, right?
Yeah, so in the fabled Sanhok map that we saw yesterday, where Greece and Cyprus mounted this fantastic comeback against Ukraine, it was Shinjay that got the first kill overall, but then he got taken out. And now Mythrain is taken off the server. Dude, this is a flip reverse of yesterday.
Complete reverse.
It's Turkey's captain general that gets the first kill and then gets taken out.
Now, the thing was that Shinjay, they won the game despite him going down early. Is that going to be
Imagine.
3-0, or is it not? Shaxi is now under fire as well. Guess who around the corner? So thank you, I'll take myself that one. But of course, there's still...
Guess who's around the corner?
Yeah, I don't know.
Guess who?
Guess who's around the corner? Shaxi.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
The puns, the memes.
We've been very subtle. Like, we've been very, very low key with those today. Maybe as the day progresses, they will come
Things
back and
spun out of control when Hulk Jesus left our side.
Yeah, when he started sort of embracing.
We need to resurrect Hulk Jesus.
Can we have a petition to have Hulk Jesus on all maps?
It's just become the PUBG logo.
Seems to me like the Turkish players have indeed forfeited Paynen. It was a good city to hold. I mean, if you have control, if you have just some sort of access point where you can cross over the water, it's a good thing to have. But seems to me like BSD 1000 Days and Dog SRS have said, you know what, guys, we are simply outnumbered down here.
One of my favorite nicks from yesterday was, what was it? It was Crazy Dog 69? Something Dog 69. I think
something like that. Yeah,
I think he was on Team Finland or I think it was Team Finland.
I'm trying to think what the exact name was, but I mean, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It was a good one.
We have a lot of dog
There are a lot of
names,
good
actually.
ones. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. That's the animal of the year. Maybe, I don't know.
Now, as Turkey back off, giving up Paynen, it's the Greek Cypriot players that gain control, and it's sort of a moving combat scenario here. Turkey being chased down, but also returning fire. We saw a Greek knock onto a Greek player, which is
that's
not what you want. I wonder how that happened. Yumba there picking him up.
Yep.
Zaga
on his feet, but
got moves like Jagger.
And look at where they're fighting. I mean, I know they talked about not caring too much about the circle, but they're nowhere near it. Like, absolutely nowhere near the circle.
And look at this northern situation just above the combat that we've got a bit below. We see smaller forces of both the Turkish and Greek Cypriot lineup coming towards the rest, maybe to bolster or to stop the other flanker.
You can see how these guys are maneuvering in. I mean, once again, Turkey have the high ground, so they should be able to call in the fact that there's a bunch of players from Greece and Cyprus making their way down here. Whether they're going to cross the bridge or not, I'm not sure. Code Marco clearly caught on the wrong side of the water here. He's going to be all by himself against Magebane and all the Greek and Cypriot players coming in, but are they going to be down there fast enough, or will the push come in from the behind?
I feel though Sora's position here could be quite useful and does get a knock onto Code Marco, but Turkey there doing some good work as well. Sora is actually backing off now because he knows he's been spotted and his position isn't quite as strong.
Chinjay.
Wow, Chinjay being knocked. Chinjay out. Chinjay out.
This is where he becomes the talker and not the shooter.
And there is no spoon following his general to the heavens. we do see on Sanhok, I mean, every map, right? High ground is important, but on Sanhok, which is a smaller map, arguably more level terrain, still the outcroppings of higher ground are so critical.
Yeah.
With the short sight lines, it does seem to give a massive advantage, and the kill feed there blazoned with Turkish flags.
And that's the thing, right? They're getting themselves a lot of those early kills, despite the fact that they were the ones to be forced to disengage. That disengage actually paid off because they kind of lured a lot of the Greek players to overextend, and it cut them off, and they just took a lot of casualties in trying to do that. And more importantly, now they're being on the northern side. The Greek and Cypriot players have to figure we have to go all the way around them somehow in order to get inside that circle, because we saw it pop, it went far, far up north, and it's already closing in.
It is. And the Turkish players have a force in the circle already.
This ain't going to be easy.
This is not going to be easy at all.
We could potentially be looking at something close to 4 match point games in a row, should they win this one, right? That would be absolutely horrible for the Greek and Cypriot team. But
yeah, and the Turkish team now, they feel like they can back off without necessarily having to throw out too much fire towards Greece and Cyprus, which means they're able to focus a lot more on their next move.
Yeah.
And that could potentially mean they're a lot better set up for the circle. And just in terms of overall spread right now, they look to be in that position. They've got that group to the central south area that's in between Greece and Cyprus and the circle. So they have the priority to move up and join the rest of their team in the safe zone.
And I don't think we will see any
and the
of
Blues closing in rapidly.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we'll see any of the Turkish players do anything to try and hold them off from getting inside this circle. Seems like they're going to push along the western side right by the water. And as we can see, there's plenty of room for the Greek and Cypriot team to move up east. And fortunately, they did manage to sort of narrow down the lead a little bit from Turkey. So only 3 players in difference right now. And of course, that can still go either way. But this fight, of course, far, far from over. But I like the fact that they start engaging this early on. It's like, you know what, guys? We are going to take it to you immediately. And that's what we've been missing from the Greek and Cypriot team, to dare to confront them.
Indeed. And now the teams are focusing on repositioning, outrunning the blue, or hanging around inside it to make the move when they deem appropriate. The Turkish team have done a great job so far managing distance and the sight lines and positioning, and they now are centering around the boot camp area.
Also, just the way that they've rotated. I mean, we heard it from Chinjay himself as well when we asked him, what are they doing differently from the other guys?
He mentioned rotations.
They're fast. They are. We talked about it. That's how we keep giving compliments to the Greek and Cypriot for how in-depth their communication is. But that's needed because they're trying to do so many different things at the same time. Whereas in Turkey, you don't need to send the info that far down the ladder. It's more of a, guys, we're all doing this now. As soon as you hear that from the commander, everybody knows exactly what to do, and you can react to it so much faster. And I think that's why they tend to have sort of the upper step on the opponents.
God.
Holy moly, we're far north.
And we have a circle that creates a wall of water.
Yeah.
Which, of course, means that from some angles, there's going to be no way out. Your back is going to be to that water, and you can't run away.
What do you do? Well, now we see some fights starting to happen. Mobs are going down early, but what do you do if you're Turkey? If you're Greece and Cyprus in this game? Because you clearly have the upper numbers. Sure, they might not know that, but can you push left and try and cut them off potentially already now on the edge of the circle?
If they do that, they're going to have to do it fast, and they're going to have to be aggressive about it. And we're seeing that happen in the current moment. There's a big exchange going on.
Pushes coming in from behind, though. You gotta constantly keep your 360s clear for Pepe Le Pew and for Miscalito. They need to be aware of the fact that people could be coming in from behind here.
Youth there with some trigger discipline.
So one's not sure. They're only two guys, so it makes sense there. I was just gonna say afraid of taking shots, but they start shooting immediately.
Oh, Nazgul panning Kolsky on the floor, and Gavin Ahmet taking out Botsman. He's just knocked. He's not in a great position exactly, and he's taken out off the server.
And important for them to get those finish offs too, because look at how much room that just gave for all the people trying to make their way in from the south for the team. And now, honestly, I mean, if at any point Turkey realizes we have the step, like we have the jump on the bunch of players coming in far down south from Greece, they can split out here and prevent them from going up and joining their teammates.
I feel as though the Greek and Cypriot players don't want to go too far north here. You kind of want to split this right down the middle from north to south, or at least stay even more southeasterly within the circle, because if then the Turkish team were to swoop underneath them, they're going to be getting pushed towards the water.
Yeah. Do we have any players further south than this? Like out in the blue?
Just a few.
Okay, so Sagar is the furthest south. Okay. I was just wondering because it didn't seem like they had a lot, but sure they also...
Oh, Kalimdor as well. Snake in the grass. That would be a good trade, even if he just picked up Billum.
He could be the one of those again. You don't need to get spotted. You don't need to see them. Sometimes it can be even more information to give to not have anyone around you, because that clears off such a big area.
And you can see him spinning around, getting as much information as possible as he tracks down Billum. He's looking through the brush. Is this twig broken? Has someone stepped on it? Picking up some fabric.
It's Legolas. The goblins ran this way. They ran this way.
He's got some fantastic information. This is really, really strong play. You know, you watch esports and sometimes the most exciting clips can be the biggest sort of gunfights and crazy moves, but things like this cannot be overlooked in terms of adding strategy, information, and overall control, just being that silent witness.
Yeah, I mean, Kalimdor in particular as well. He's been pretty, if not the most sort of seen person in the MEA or in the Turkish PUBG esports scene, then he's at least one of them alongside guys like Iron.
And see, he can hear the other car coming as well, for sure.
Very talented player.
Yeah, he looks right over. They've got no clue.
3 guys in the car too.
They've got no clue.
The fact that they get around, that could have been a triple kill right there. That's so fortunate.
And Billum is just hiding in a corner. Is he looking out the window or is he hiding in a corner? I'm not sure.
So shots been fired once more. I mean, we don't really have the front line the same way that we had really early on down by Painan, but these teams are starting to gathering up on each their side. And now the circle goes even further north once more. And now, guys, now Greece and Cyprus, you have the percentage, you have the chance, you gotta utilize.
Billum has got an idea. I mean, at least he's looking behind him. I don't know if they're aware that Kalimdor is there or if they're just being careful. Either way, they need to make sure that this small task force joins up with the rest of the crew whilst keeping the back line safe, because this is potentially the final battle starting to kick off in at the 13-minute mark.
Percentage-wise, they're sitting at something like 60 to 65% of the circle right now.
Yeah.
They cannot allow for Turkey to take ground. Every single knock you get, that's going to be one guy pushing up to the next tree in these areas of the map. It's so hard to play around, but you need to stand your ground here if you're the Greek and Cypriot team. Even though you're down in numbers, that's the thing. Because they're already pushing further up north, as you can see.
Just a few shots fired by both teams.
Yeah, Kalimdor taking it down now as well. That was the flank. There was the flank.
Bilim did have an idea that Kalimdor was tracking him.
Good shot.
He did a great job there of keeping an eye out and stopping that flank, that informational play.
You have to always jump around, look behind you. That's what you'll see the pros do, and that's why you need to do it yourself as well. There can always be people coming in from either the side or behind, especially on Stanok. Pandex trying to get himself some damage done, managed to do so, but does go down in return.
Yep, the Turkish players here doing a great job of managing the sight lines. And if someone does commit from Greece and Cyprus, they're on them like a hawk.
They have got them split into two groups now. Turkey, we haven't seen Turkey do this.
This is a really, really smart play. They are pushing Greece north.
Yeah, they're pushing out to the water.
They're getting them towards that water. And having the two different groups means a lot more angles are going to be taken care of. They're going to have a lot more information based on their field of view.
Yeah. And the fact that they're allowed to do so means that Turkey is clearly playing on it.
Ooh, nice
one more.
nades. Ooh.
Best down. Shears has to make the run on up all by himself. Now, Gigo has a clear idea of where he is. Did he see him go down there? I don't know, but we're just four players in favor of Turkey right now. But of course, this, as we talk about all the time, could still go either way.
And here we can see that offshoot of the Turkish force going around the edge of the blue.
Turkey flanking. That is not something we've seen so far, but this could really, really work. They're doing a great job pinning in. I don't know if Byronara has spotted them out. Giko, you can see, is waiting for Shears to peek over, but Shears was anticipating him to be up in these rocks and does take him down. And all of a sudden, what we have seen Greece do so well in pinning down and swarming opponents is being done towards them.
Byronara running around there. I'm not entirely sure if he's aware, but I think they are.
Yeah, they must have noticed when shots are
exactly. Now shots are being fired from that direction. They had an inkling that could be happening, potentially based on how many Turkish players were on the other angle. And yeah, it's a really, really smart play by the Turkish forces.
Look at the knocks coming in. They're pretty much all in favor of Turkey. And even though you have the compound favor, you have the hard ground, a hard cover for the Greece and Cypriot teams, with them being sort of pinned down inside these houses, they're just allowing for Turkey to take up so much ground.
Turkey are doing such a good job here. This is some very tactical, very cerebral play by the Turkish team. There's clearly a strategy being executed, and the decision-making is very smart.
7 players up now. It's just a 4-man lead before, and they're furiously getting knocks in.
Yeah, and more than anything, the shots are being landed. Shish doing some fantastic work there. Everybody is now ahead, collapsing in on each other. The Greek Cypriot players doing their best to return some fire. But at this point, 20-12 in favor of Turkey. All Turkey need to do is trade. The more knocks you get as well, the less active guns there are out on the battlefield. And that's exactly what's happening. Just more and more Greek Cypriot players fall.
And you see the entire front we had out to the east. The fact that they were allowed to flank around this side. We haven't seen these flanks be done that well so far. We haven't seen them be executed that well. But holy cow, did they take Greece by surprise.
And this has been a faster map than the first two.
17.
Maybe Turkey growing in confidence and, executing plans with a lot more momentum and speed.
And just one thing that's impressive to me is the fact that we have seen things happen from the Turkish team now. They've had really good engages, but they also disengaged early on. And it allowed for them to pretty much take the win in the end, right? Such smart plays coming in. Now the pan is out. Naskell is all by himself.
Whoa!
Look at the chase
the
coming
Pan
in.
Legion.
He's not able to do anything. That nade pretty much took out his own team. How is he still alive? How is Naskell alive? What is going on? There you go. They're all knocking each other.
13 Turkish players ended up surviving. They went for the pan play at the end, which we know is something the Greeks like to do at the end of their matches if there's one player remaining. And that was a quick descent at the end of the game for Team Greece and Cyprus. Turkey did a great job of actioning around the circle. They committed their forces in the right positioning, and then at that moment that they decided to break off, they created that wave that sort of just slowly closed in, that steady death grip that choked out the Greek and Cypriot.
They wedged around the side and then they just worked out to perfection. I mean, they had enough people. They already had the numbers. They were up by, I think, 6 players at that point when they decided to commit to it. They knew they had the numbers. They knew these players were expendable, that they had enough firepower to sort of even things out on the northern side, and we can still have these guys push around the side. So they knew they had the numbers, they knew they had the positions, and they had the info they needed to make the committed push across because Kalimdor had been back there for so long, getting them all the info they needed.
Yeah, Kalimdor there, he ended up falling when I can't remember. Bilum from the Greek Cypriot side sniffed him out, but he'd gained so much information at that point, and potentially Kalimdor's positioning was what encouraged the Turkish team to create that second force that shot off and create that slow death grip. So far, I'd say the biggest difference between the teams is Turkey making the more creative team strategies. You know, when the circle changes, they react very quickly, just as Shinjae, the general for Team Greece and Cyprus, mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? They're making moves faster than the Greek and Cypriot team can react. And they're catching, every time they make a move, they catch 2-3 players off, boom, that's going to be a small advantage. And that only escalates coming into the final few circles, where if you have the numbers to swarm down and pin them into small compounds, well, you see exactly there what happens. You can send 20 guys in with pants and punch out the last guy.
All right, Toby, well, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that makes it 3-0 in favour of Team Turkey. This is a best of 7, so at this point, they are 1 win away from this grand final title here at GLL Nations Royale. And we're in that situation again that we've seen already, where the losing team needs to do a reverse sweep. They need to get 4 maps in a row, Greece and Cyprus.
Insane. They would need to pull off something absolutely insane to do that.
Yeah, that would be crazy. But if there is a team that can do it, it would be Greece and Cyprus. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 5 minutes with the 4th map. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you then.
Hello.
Από πάνω μου 3 άτομα.
Yolun dibindeki kampanda alabilir misiniz ilerideki?
Abi orası
sağda?
dolu işte, dolu orası.
Tamam. Tamam, gitme.
Πάρουμε το λόγο. Μπορούμε να πάρουμε...
En sağdan pushluyoruz biz şu an.
Önümüzde adam var, açıkta koşuyor. Bataklık ekibi. Bataklık ekibi eve raşlaması gerekiyor.
Eve raşlaması. 7 kaldı, devam. Bitti. Rahat ol. Devam. Helal be Polla. Vur. Lan beni vurdun. Hadi vurun şunu.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to GLL Nations Royale Grand Finals for Europe. It's a best of 7, right? Which means there should be many chances for both teams to imprint their will on the match. But right now, it's all a story of Turkey. They are 3-0 up over Team Greece and Cyprus, which means they only need one more map to win the entire championship. We're going to move into the Kendi, which yesterday we saw Team Greece, Cyprus do a great job on. They managed to sort of control the engagements and then get things to come to a fore over this no man's land between some rock formations. Yeah. But I'm not entirely sure if they have it in them now against Turkey.
That's the thing, right? And that's what we talked about coming into this, that the opponents they've had coming into this, they've thrown off some really, really good teams and get in here. But I just don't think they've been up against a team that has been moving so fast. I mean, doing things so quickly. And that's the thing, because everything we complimented the Greece and Cyprus team for coming into today, we just haven't seen anything of from them.
Yeah, and we're wasting no more time, Toby. We're jumping straight into map number 4 for Kendi, the Winter Wonderland. Oh, imagine if you could go visit those rocks there. That would be some real Arctic warfare.
Good snowboarding down the hills there, I'm sure.
Yeah, we had some fun time yesterday noticing the local industry of making water things.
Oh, yeah.
That's
water
clearly
things.
how the Kendi made its money back in the day. In the theme park. Visited
Dino
that
Park.
as a child.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Good memories.
Dino Park.
Dinosaurs down there. The Cosmodrome as well.
Yeah.
For our astronaut adventures. That was good times. Good times.
Oh, look to the left. He's back. It's Hulk Jesus. And if anything, my brother, that is a sign that there is hope and salvation potentially in the pipeline for Greece and Cyprus.
He's actually on Kendi as well. Hulk Jesus. It doesn't matter if it's snowy or if it's sunny. Hulk Jesus will be there to support you.
And we head out of the cathedral to a nice overview of Volnova. Koski has dropped in, kind of just taken over as town mayor.
Yeah, we'll see.
And we see a very wide split, spaced out teams on both sides of the server.
Goroka could be the place of confrontations as well. And then again, of course, for those of you guys who have been living under a rock, might that be a snowy one, you wouldn't be confused by what's happening with a snowmobile driving around in a cave right now. But what we can tell you is that down here, if you are so lucky, you will go down to where FF Baronara is. We see him right north of Code Marco. And you can get yourself some nifty level 3 gear down there with the crates.
Yeah, there's 2 crates, right?
Exactly.
2 crates. And we saw Greece and Cyprus prioritise that yesterday. It wasn't Ukraine that got it. I think it was Greece and Cyprus.
Yeah.
They drove a truck straight through the wall, got in there and got that early gear.
At this point, because now we've seen it so many times, I have got to ask, if we look at the map real quick, what is up? Because we questioned it last time. What is up with Code Marco never, ever landing with his teammates? He's always like at least 2 kilometers away from the closest teammate.
Yeah, this time he's joined by Ozzy. Or
he has
Ozil.
a teammate now. That might
but
be like
he is always that outlier
he's so far away.
For Team Turkey. And Youth is just getting lit in the winery. He's looking for some aged bottles of pirate... I was going to say rum, but they're in a winery. So some aged pirate wine would be more accurate.
Pirate wine?
Bro, look. All right, we've made it a thing.
It's
we've made it a thing, Andy.
Oh yeah, thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Pablo. Now we're back there. Okay. I wasn't there. I wasn't there yet, but I'm sure we can engage in those memes now.
Mithrain, General Turkey, setting up shop in a little graffiti's house. He's thinking, I could put some new plants on this balcony, rear them up like I've reared my team into a fighting force to be reckoned with. Take the fight, says the robot, and I'm sure that's what will be happening very soon on this wonderful wintry map.
I mean, had it been up against any other team, the Greece and Cyprus team would have already sprinted headfirst towards the teams on the eastern side. Same thing going the other way around. Turkey would just have said, you know what, guys, we might be outnumbered, but we're sending it here. We know we can do this. But with these 2 teams, I mean, despite both of them being so aggressive, they have been, I mean, sure, Turkey has been the more abusive one when it came to taking landmass, but none of them has really been the ones that wanted to engage initially.
Yeah, indeed. Each game has had a steady rise. I mean, in the previous map, when we saw Sandhawk, it was slightly faster, but it seems that Turkey versus Greece and Cyprus so far has been the most steady matchup, which is what we identified before.
It has. Despite the fact that we're seeing a 3-0 right now, it's not really not really showcasing how close some of these fights have actually been.
Yes. Shaxi there getting the first knot onto Yours Death.
It's coming in now as well.
And Mr. Corokas also falling.
Code Marco, despite he's being alone, he's actually oftentimes getting kills too. That's pretty interesting.
Oof. It's an intense engagement here.
Luster is kind of by himself. Okay, now he's falling back too, yeah.
Yeah, potentially there coming up the stairs, he was hoping that the Turkish players would overcommit and then his death squad in the neighbouring house could pop out and get some cheeky kills, but didn't work out like that. He did put off some nice damage, but then decided to back off.
And what's interesting here is that this is a map that's, first of all, is the newest map added to the game, but also it's not one we've really been using in the competitive map pool. And we keep talking about how all these players are very competitive players in the competitive scene, and they will, for the most part, only pretty much be playing Erangel and Miramar. So maybe there's some off angles here they won't be expecting.
This is a fast start to Vikendi. We're seeing a lot of battling happening over the map. We know Code Marco, when he was off with Aussie or whatever, managed to get into a fight straight away. And now around Goroka, we've got Turkish squad and a Greek squad. Oh, Molotov there. BSD just gets out of it. Yeah, Turkish squad and a Greek squad going at each other. Tooth and nail.
Just 4 HP off. He sure could have been rested, but a close one. Close one. Lives with the scare.
Yeah, the old classic healing technique for when you've been burnt alive is to just chug a soda real quick.
Drink that energy drink. Stay alive. But then now, once again, this is like a repeat of we saw Stanhope before. They're getting swarmed down completely. Darkser is just getting in there saying, guess who? Well, that's going to be me, and I'm going to take you down and out. And, well, not a whole lot more they can do. Nifo is, he's buying himself a bit of time. Of course, you want to get those flushes in with it, but he's very outnumbered. Nice angle.
Mithrain doing a great job. He's wide in the open on a rooftop, but considering the positions of his team, he doesn't really have to worry about getting sniped off from any distances or run up on in a close engagement.
And that's a 2 for 8 trade going in the favor of Turkey.
Yeah,
really
2 for 8.
A first engagement to have if you're... Oh, Jaxi. He was rest before, but then Doc was like, you know what, buddy? Can I just test out this Molotov on you?
Smash this Molotov on your face. Boom.
Yeah, sometimes things don't make sense, and this time it didn't either. But
hey, at least things are making more sense than USA-Brazil last night.
Yeah,
Hand of freedom rained down hell.
They gave them a lot of freedom then.
Yeah.
And now we'll see MFS.
That was when Hulk Jesus was really flowing through our veins.
Oh, they actually hit him there.
What is it?
Shot.
1:30 in the morning. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a good one.
MFS here, taking up position as the Turkish sniper, as the Greek players back off into the woodland hills, looking for safety, looking for cover. And this isn't necessarily something we've seen from Greece and Cyprus, having to back off regularly and taking engagements that aren't in their favor.
But the thing is, that's what I was going to say. When they've been fighting, even when they haven't been in the better spot, they have always been the victors.
Yes.
So they've never really had to worry about... I mean, coming into this, they hadn't lost a single map on Erangel, for example. Now they lost 2 of them on a road today, right? They've never been on the back heel. They've always been the ones engaging. And maybe that's just them completely pulled out of their comfort zone.
Oh, Vasigo and co pushing up quite far on Skidu, which is pretty in the open.
It's a strategy, yeah.
Nifo still managing to diagonally dodge the bullets from multiple Turkish
He's
snipers.
running from the entire Turkish team, and he has 1 tree of cover right now.
We need some Benny Hill music right now, as he dodges the bullets.
Maybe he's not Nifo anymore. Maybe he's just Neo, you know?
No, that would be...
oh, there's no spoon.
There is no spoon.
Yeah. There is no spoon. Oh, yeah.
Was it the Oracle or Morpheus that says
I think it's Morpheus.
that says there is no spoon?
Oh, it's got to be the Oracle.
It's got to be the Oracle, yeah.
The kid with
it's the kid. No, it's the
with
kid.
the spoon that looks at it.
Yeah, it's the kid, not the Oracle.
Yeah. There is no spoon. Yeah, there is no
That's
spoon.
a good
movie.
Oh, dude, one of the best movies of all time, in my opinion. Yeah, and Nifo just managing... No! As he gets to the lip of the hill, he does get knocked. I don't think it's a safe res.
This is Game of Thrones all over again. He cannot just run
Scalito
straight.
is risking it. He's running up. He's hoping to save his down teammate.
Yumba is doing damage now. This might be Turkey overextending. They want to get that one kill, but look at how many players. Oh, that's not a complete other area of the map. Never mind.
No, it can be hard to tell with the camera zooming around
everywhere.
the minimap.
No, it's snow everywhere. But nonetheless, it's
part of the chaos of 32 versus 32, right?
Could actually still be an overcommitment. They all came up to get one kill. Like, look at how many Turkish players are running up the hill now, and look at how many players from Greece and Cyprus are actually sitting up here waiting for them, and now they're starting to get some knocks off.
But then it's returned.
Yeah.
Turkey.
That's what Turkey is good at. I mean, every time it seems to go in the favor of Greece, boom, they're just there to respond immediately.
I love the way in PUBG it always seems that the geography dictates what happens in a fight. You know, each team is trying to take advantage of the world around them, and then, of course, the circle factors in, but it's the land and how you maneuver around it that really decides what happens. You know, where are the safe spots? Which angles do you have? And right now, they've ended up being on this hill that was originally a safe haven. Turkey chased after them, and that's when the battle started kicking off. Now it's Turkey, as you said, maybe feeling that they've been a bit overextended, backing off slightly, and we've got this big wide gap that's kind of going from the top of the screen around to the right. And yeah, they're the two front lines being formed between the two teams and the trees in between them. It's quite the sight. It's a lot of it's very enjoyable to watch.
Turkey were up. I mean, Greece have lost one player in all of what we just saw now, and they've just narrowed it down to just a two-player difference. Hugely important comeback. It might not seem that they're big in the grand scheme of things, but hugely important. But look at what's disengaged. We see in the bottom corner of your map right there, this is the northeastern edge of the circle. They are disengaging now because they have got the entirety of the Greek and Cypriot team caught off up on the mountain.
Yep. I do feel your point about Turkey overextending is a key one at this point in the match, because that chase into the woods up the hill didn't work out for them, and now they've backed off and they are readjusting, they're changing their approach, and they've come off with some losses, with some bodies down.
They just didn't have to push it all the way up there. I mean, they already knew that they were on the edge. You can see the blue coming in now as well. In circle 2. In circle 2, they've already got them pinned in. And now Code Marco, 10 years later.
Oh, boy.
He is coming in. He is coming in hot. Him and Ozzy, they're...
now we need A-team music.
We're here.
Yeah.
Where are the opponents? And now, as soon as they start shooting, like 8 guys will be turning around and spot them out.
I don't know how deep he should be going here. Don't get me wrong. I don't think any of the Greek Cypriot players have an idea that they're behind them.
Be in a spot where you can get info and not get caught. And if you get caught, you need to have like sort of an exit route.
And he's actually working his way up to Chinjay. Is he going to get the general frag? No, the head just bobbing up and down over the top of that rock formation.
That would be the backstab of the century.
Yeah.
It's like Stratego, just all the way around the side. Take him out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He would be the man that could, but seems like we've kind of given him a little tough time for maybe shooting too early, but now he's not. So
the thing is, though, with this position Code Marco and Ozzy have, do you think we're going to see a similar thing to what we saw in the last Sandhawk game, where there was some informational plays being made, and then Turkey reacted to it by sending that second force to split and crush?
I think the reason that Code Marco got around is because, first of all, there were only two guys.
God, so
second
deep.
of all, they came from the east already, and look at the positioning coming in. Code Marco goes down, Ozzy down too. They got some info, but in the end, there will be no more for them to pick off. And now, just once again, we're pretty much tied up here.
Indeed, 23-22.
This circle, though. Yikes.
A lot of Greek sides on the left portion of the kill feed.
This ain't gonna be easy. I mean, for at this point, just because of this circle alone, and I know we say that the Greece and Cyprus teams, like players, don't really care too much about the circle, but at this point, for every one player you have in Greece and Cyprus, you can pretty much count it 3 advantage-wise, because every one player in Turkey would be able to take down at least 2 or 3 of the Greek and Cypriot players as they come running down through this open field, because that's like their only entry point to the next circle. They have to run down the hill and then cross a huge open field.
Yep, we're seeing Pepe Le Pew starting that journey right now, along with Sora and Skelito. And the Turkish players have 3 pushed up, Saturk and Honor and Kozki in the brush, in the trees. Gecko and Black Label also pushed up a bit, but on the side of the Greek Cypriot team.
The blue is already pushing into...
If Greece push up more here, Could the no man's land end up being where Turkey are currently sat?
Sora took his time, wanted to make sure he could connect it, and he did.
Great trigger discipline.
Very well
shots.
Very well. And now he misses them when he's completely still. Don't look at him anymore. Now it's getting embarrassing. He's so skilled that he can only land hard shots.
One of my favorite snake
Bush
in
bookies.
the grass.
Yeah, just chilling around.
It's a turkey and his naked legs
It's a turkey.
protruding from the bush. A man with no fear, lying down in snow in the open, not fully dressed, freezing his soul and his heart for his team.
But as well, he might not be the one who's going to get a lot of kills here, but he's going to get so much info. If they all run past him, and he can be like, hello, guys, and start shooting them from behind, he will force X amount of players to turn around. The fact that he can tell them there's no one pushing north right now.
Yeah, and with the circle, Turkey are in a very strong position.
Yeah.
Greece and Cyprus need to make a move. Pandek start things off with a knock onto Honor, but they're going to have to go across this no man's land, the no man's land where our snake is currently sat on the side of Team Turkey.
We have seen Greece give up so much space today because they had some circles in their favor a few times early on that Turkey utilized. Good shot by Marita. We know she can do these things. She has a lot of highlight reels uploaded on YouTube, and that one was one to add to it for sure. But for Greece and Cyprus right now, they're all in the blue. Every single player from Greece and Cyprus is in the blue, and they need to get the hell in because we're already in phase 4, and these are starting to do more and more damage.
Yep. Turkey have the dominant position. It's Greece and Cyprus that need to make the move. Usually something that they're on the opposite side of. They're the ones that control the pace, but it's Turkey that are doing such great work. 21-14 now. They are taking full advantage of the blue closing in. Toby, this is a massacre.
It is, and look at the commitment. Look at the way they're able to pin them out in the blue. This is what Greece and Cyprus could have done in game 1 had they been in a better position, had they played it earlier. And right now, Turkey is just 100% outplaying the Greece and Cyprus team. Sure, they had that second circle, hard shift down far west, but immediately you would need to have seen the Greek and Cyprus team do something about it. They do have the pushing from behind.
Little duo coming from behind.
Miko coming in from behind and Botsman, but there's going to be so much to do because it's 20 versus 5. This is game over and potentially a clean sweep for the Turkish team.
Yeah, Toby, this is too much to do. It's 19-3 for Turkey. Greece and Cyprus are at the end of their tether. What can they do at this point? They just don't have the numbers. They don't have the bullets. Turkey have played an amazing series. It's going to be a whitewash. The final shot's coming in from Botsman. He's standing tall, standing proud, trying to save his team. But at this point, surely it's just to save face.
What do they do here, though? There's a chance. And yeah, I know. I'm just trying to hype up something that's not really hype-worthy. But 2 guys alive. There's 1 guy alive. Okay, yep. Botsman, he has some ground. He has some room. He has an AK, some smokes, 2 Molotovs. And, as long as they keep nading each other, then, there's a chance. But 12 HP. I'm not too confident for you anymore, Botsman.
Indeed. The final nail in the coffin about to go down. Ladies and gentlemen, Team Greece and Cyprus are eliminated. Your GLL Nations Royale European champions are Team Turkey. Mithrain there, getting his medal and hand shaken by Joachim from GLL. The same smile on his face that he has had the entire weekend. I'm sure on his stream right now, he's going wild, and everybody in his chat is singing Team Turkey's praises. Wow, what a performance.
That was very well done by the Turkish team. I don't know if the whole the flankerino from some team members had an impact, but you see the medal right there, well deserved as well. Grand champions, and GL Nations Royale winners of season 1.
Turkey really stamping their authority on the final. Who knows, if Miramar hadn't crashed, things could have been a bit different. But honestly, I do think the better team won today.
Yeah.
Coming into this, I think Greece and Cyprus had a great chance. And maybe because I'd spoken to Shinjay and how they performed yesterday and how, as a lead, he's very strong, I had a lot of faith in them. I thought potentially they were my favourites. But Mithrain, the huge streamer and figurehead for his community in Turkey, pulled out the victory, and they just had the tools at their disposal. It seemed they made every right decision when it counted, even going all the way back to the first map on Erangel, pushing that bridge early, and then each subsequent map, they just did the things they need to at the right time.
And I mean, the fact that they not only won 4-0, but did it on 3 different maps, and I think at no point were there single-digit players alive. They were all, I think the lowest was actually here. They had one with 12 on Santa.
But that was when they
12 up on Santa because they started spinning in with pans, right? So it was very convincing wins to ensure the circle plays a favor. But even when they didn't have it, even when they had to go military, they made that work too. So big kudos to Turkey and congratulations on the win.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about the communication strategy that Turkey employed, how Mithrain split up his squads, what their setup was, and Discord, TeamSpeak, because we know that the Greek Cypriot team had a very good strategy, and it was paying off yesterday. But unfortunately, tonight, this evening, it didn't pay off in the grand final. Let's check in with Shinjay and see how he's feeling. Sir, commiserations, second place, nothing to be disappointed with, but I'm sure you feel that you could have gotten that grand final in other circumstances. Oh,
we can't hear it.
Oh, hello. Sorry, we didn't hear you there. Say that again, Shinjay.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay. It was not our day. The Turks were really good. They were decent. They were playing really good. They cooperate really well. They can also just make fast decisions, like we've said. They just move really fast. Congratulations to them and Mithrain. They were really good.
Yeah, and what would you say the keys to their victory was? You mentioned before when we spoke to you that their rotations were very fast and their movement was difficult for you to contain.
I mostly believe that we did not do well because we did not communicate, actually, as we were communicating, and it was not our day at all. That's what I believe. But at the same time, we had a good team where they would not forgive our mistakes.
So do you feel today that your communication wasn't as good as yesterday and throughout the rest of the tournament?
Yeah, it was not as good as it was.
As good as it could be. Toby?
I'm thinking the second game we had on Erangel where you kind of got pinned down in the pit there in the end. But there was a moment where you were pushing up. You had a good rotation. You tried to push up and take control, and but then it seemed like the Turkish just you allowed them. I don't know if that's the word I would use, but they were allowed to take maybe more ground than you would have wanted. Was there a point where you wanted to go aggressive but you just couldn't?
Yeah, they actually had backfire from all the spots around us, so we could not really go aggressive there. We tried to, and it was not a good idea, and we paid for it. That's it.
All right. Well, George, overall thoughts on the tournament and what it's been like as an experience for you and your team?
It's been a sick experience. It's been actually the best experience we've ever had in PUBG.
Wow.
Also, the GLL studio, the GLL host, I got to thank GLL for all these things, for giving us the opportunity to participate in a tournament like that. It was great, great of you. Thank you very much, guys.
Awesome, Shinjay. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you here. Commiserations on not getting the championship, but congratulations on second place. It's something to be very proud of, and I'm sure we'll see more of you over the future. And I'll see you after the show as well.
I'll see you later. Thank you.
Awesome, bro. Catch you in a bit, man.
Bye-bye.
Wicked. Well, Shinjay there, very humble in defeat, just as he was in victory. And I think he addressed what we've been talking about on the desk over the course of today, and we've seen in terms of development for Team Turkey. They just had the right tools at their disposal. They were hard to lock down. They made good decisions, and they reacted, I just guess, in the right time.
And the thing is, just to me, I mean, that just shows how scary they are, right? Because one thing is you can go up, you can go aggressive, you can take some control. We've seen many teams do that, but we have not seen anyone be able to pull that off against Greece and Cyprus. Sure, we have Shinjay saying their communication wasn't as good as it has been, but they're still a tough team. I mean, you go down to the bracket and see the teams they've beat to make it to the final. There's no other team that could even almost pull that off against them. So the fact that Turkey can do this time and time again, they're scary. They're really scary.
Indeed. A big congratulations to Mithrain and his squad. Toby, would you like to say anything else before we shoot off?
I hope we get so much more of this because it's great fun. Of those you guys sitting out there watching, if you're like, oh my God, I want to be on my national team. I mean, national team in esports. That's like the coolest thing, right?
It is cool. It is cool.
So please, if you do, jump over to play.gl.gg. They got so many cool things going on over there. Just get over there. There's not a whole lot more to say. Just get there. It's amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Toby, for helping me figure out everything that we've been watching. A big shout out to GLL and everybody backstage. A big shout out to all of the teams that have taken part. And of course, to all of you at home for supporting. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Your GLL Nations Royale champions are Team Turkey. My name's Parla, and we will see you next time.
Team! Watermark! Patla! Bravo! Smoke! Cut off finish! Cut off finish!
Stack oynayın. Şipo beni alsana.
Gazda kaldılar.
Let's go!
Burada tamam. Royale ekibi ne yapsın? Kalsın mı yukarıda?
Bizim takım bakın oraya, bire bakın. Aranızdaki şu helal.
Vur! Lan beni vurdun!
Elimde bombayla.
Hadi vurun şunu!
Πάρουμε το λόγο. Μπορούμε να πάρουμε...
Seni almanız lazım, ölüyor.
Şuna kaldı.
Bana smoke atıp alır mısın Mocking?
Yanıyorum.
Canı çok az, en üst katta. Kaskı yok. Bomba atma oraya. Yok. Gaza mı dök?
Geri abi geri. Abi girsinler içeri salın.
Μπροστά μου.
Πάνω!
Abi öyle gidiyor.